Previously in chapters 1581 to 1600, Wang Lin enters a dream Dao as a scholar to master his final essences, karma, life and amp, death and true and amp false, accompanied by his book boy big fortune He lives a mortal life in Zhao, meeting echoes of past acquaintances like Zhou Rui and Lu Mei. Under the mentor Su Dao, he spends years contemplating the universe, realizing that every life is a karmic willow leaf, This spiritual journey seeks to resolve the boundary between dream and reality before his ultimate awakening. In a flash, another 10 years passed. Su Dao had died of old age 3 years ago. He left during the winter. He struggled to survive the winter so he could live for a few more months and see the willow leaves next year. However, although his mind could comprehend the world, his body wasn't able to alter life and death. During the winter, the snowflakes fell, leaving the world and the river frozen with a thick layer of ice. He looked at the snow falling as if it would last for an eternity. Wang Lin pushed his wooden chair and walked through the city of Su. Wang Lin, who was almost 40, gave off a steadfast aura. He wore a white shirt as he silently pushed Su Dao. This winter was particularly cold. The falling snow was blown by the cold wind and fell on their bodies. Early in the morning, the bell in the temple leisurely echoed in the distance. The crisp sound could cleanse one's heart. Lin teacher is about to leave. Teacher, never have any children. Your 3 senior brothers inherited a lot of truths from me, but only your thoughts are similar to mine. I know you have already become aware of karma. Although still hazy, you will eventually understand. What you pursue is not just karma. Teacher will gift this mansion to you. Su Duo's weak voice mixed with the wind and entered Wang Lin's ears. Wang Lin remained silent and sorrow appeared in his eyes. Su Dao had accompanied him for 17 years. During these 17 years, Wang Lin had gone from a 19-year-old young man to a middle-aged man. Following Su Dao, Wang Lin learned a lot and understood a lot. The snow was heavy and covered their vision. As the bell echoed, the snow covered the entire city of Su. The crunching sound of the wooden chair being pushed was weak. Only the 2 lines of tracks left by the chair were visible. It was like life, and when you look back you could see how long it was. However, it only led to the present and you couldn't see where it ended. Snow fell and covered the tracks in the ground. Not even the starting point could be seen. Send me to the Su mountain outside the city. Su Dao's old voice was weak, but his eyes were bright. He looked at the world as if he was seeing his own end. Wang Lin silently nodded as he pushed the wooden chair and walked forward toward Su Dao's final goal. The snowfall became even heavier. The wind and snow fell on his face. He allowed the snow to melt, and the coldness entered his heart. Wang Lin pushed the wooden chair through the ancient streets and out of the city of Su. He saw the small mountain outside the city. The mountain wasn't large, but it had spirit. One couldn't see this spirit, but if one closed their eyes, they would feel every tree and grass on the mountain. One could feel the mountain breathing, and that was enough. Wang Lin pushed the chair up the path leading to the mountain. Su Dao slowly closed his eyes. He faintly felt like he couldn't hold on anymore. However, his eyes were still as bright as they were 17 years ago. The eye is the window to the heart. Su Dao's body may rot, but this thoughts, the trajectory of his life, had already formed, so it would never disappear. Carry me to that place. Su Dao's voice was even weaker. Wang Lin carried Su Dao on his back and walked off the mountain road. The snow continued to fall as he walked into the mountain step by step. At the end there was a solitary grave. This grave existed in the snow as if it was waiting for something. It seemed to have waited for several decades for this day. Su Dao sat down before the grave and stared at it. There were no tears, but his gaze became gentle. I'm coming. You said you wanted to always look at me, so I buried you here so you could always see me below the mountain, Su Dao murmured as he touched the grave. His expression was gentle and he seemed to forget the coldness of the grave. Or it could be said that the coldness from the grave had turned to warmth in his heart. He slowly closed his eyes and his face had a gentle smile as he lost his breath. Su Dao died. Wang Lin stood there for a long time. He turned around and looked down the mountain. From this position he could see the city of Su and the Su mansion. A powerful sense of melancholy filled Wang Lin's heart. He was confused. He was still thinking about what kind of existence this world was. Was it his previous life, his reincarnation, or just a dream? It was just that there was no way to explain everything. Truth and false seemed to traverse in a permanent circle, making it impossible to tell where the start and end were. Half a month later, another grave appeared next to the lone grave on the mountain. It was no longer lonely. 3 years after Su Dao died, Wang Lin was 39. His parents had been brought here from the mountain village many years ago, but they couldn't adjust to the life here. After several months, they returned to their hometown and lived an ordinary life. In the winter when Wang Lin was 39, he was looking at the snow when he got a summon from the Emperor of Zhao. This was the 5th summon in the 3 years after Su Dao died. The contents of the 5 summons were roughly the same, but each was more luxurious than the last. They said the emperor wanted Wang Lin to come to the capital to become the imperial teacher. During these 20 years, Wang Lin's name had risen among the scholars in Zhao. Although he had never left the city of Su in these 20 years, people would come to visit and listen to his teachings during the annual imperial exam. This was related to Su Dao, but it was also related to Wang Lin himself. During these 20 years, some dignitaries, some scholars, and some nobles had been defeated by Wang Lin's words. Everyone knew that Wang Lin had obtained Su Dao's inheritance to become a grand scholar. This became even more deeply rooted in their hearts when Su Dao died. However, nothing was absolute. There were a lot of people who didn't recognize Wang Lin's existence. They didn't believe Wang Lin was worthy of the title of grand scholar, and the Emperor of Zhao led that group. These opinions were scattered when Su Dao was alive. However, in the 3 years after Su Dao died, their voices became louder and louder. During Wang Lin's 3 years of silence, they had become voices of doubt. Wang Lin didn't pay attention to these kinds of things. He continued his quiet life with big fortune. Wang Lin's silence allowed the people that questioned him to become even more unbridled. They admitted Wang Lin was Su Dao's student, but they didn't think Wang Lin was worthy of the title of grand scholar. Driving by people with their own motives, this matter slowly changed until such voices could be heard all across Zhao. Wang Lin still ignored all of this. He watched the sunrises and sunsets. He looked at the spring pass and autumn arrive. He comprehended the world and tried to understand karma. He also searched for signs of life and death and true and false. Although he was in a state of confusion himself, he continued to experience life. He didn't want to pay attention to these pointless things, and he didn't feel the need to prove anything. All of this meant nothing to him. It was like children arguing. However, the more he remained silent, the louder those voices became. What was worse was that out of Su Dao's 3 other students, other than Su San, who was elderly and terminally ill, the other 2 had also stood out to question Wang Lin. As a result, the scholars of Zhao were a mess and even disrupted the ordinary people. The voices of doubt were like a storm that swept across Zhao. Some people had found Wang Lin's exam paper from 20 years ago and began to heavily criticize it. They used the fact that Wang Lin had only passed the first exam to throw out arrogant accusations. Amidst these messy voices, The summon from the imperial capital of Zhao came the 6th time, 7th time, 8th time, 9th time, following Wang Lin like snow. What was even more excessive was that this affected Wang Lin's parents. His parents were already old and should have been enjoying the end of their lives. However, for some reason, the people in the village had learned of this and it spread across the village. The rumor of the villagers ignited Wang Lin's parents' anger. They were already old, and this anger caused Wang Lin's father to fall ill. During the winter of this year, Wang Lin stood in the yard holding a letter. This letter was from his mother. She had found someone to write it and then entrusted his fourth uncle to send it. The letter told Wang Lin that his father was fine. After reading it again and again, a hint of anger appeared in Wang Lin's calm eyes. Wang Lin folded the letter and put it his clothes. He looked up at the falling snow and slowly said, "A bit too much." He had no intention of proving anything. No matter how loud the voices in Zhao were, he didn't care. The title Grand Scholar held no value, he didn't care. He was like an old man who just wanted to slowly comprehend the world. However, everything had a limit, and Wang Lin's bottom line was his parents. The anger of his parents, the pain of his parents, the grief of his parents, and the wrath of his parents were his anger, his pain, his sadness, his wrath. Big fortune, make the necessary arrangements. I'll lecture for 10 years. For the next 10 years, I welcome anyone in the world to come to the city of Su to learn from me. If they can show they are above me, they can take this mansion from me. Wang Lin waved his sleeves and left. Behind him, Big Fortune, who had entered his elderly years, was still the same as 20 years ago. He was very excited as he was equally as angry during these last 3 years. Those people that used to respect him not only alienated him but were also cold to him. Now that he heard Wang Lin's words, there was a hint of expectation in his proud expression. He quickly went to arrange this matter. "Humph, humph, my young lord is still the most haughty. 10 years of lectures. I want to see the expressions of all those people when they fail. 10 years of lecture to welcome the scholars of the world." This news spread out from the city of Su and spread through various channels. It quickly made its way throughout the country of Zhao. When the people that questioned Wang Lin heard this, they were all dumbfounded. Su Dao had once lectured, but it was only for 1 year. However, this Wang Lin dared to say 10 years. This kind of thing couldn't be considered haughty but extremely arrogant. The so-called lectures were like challenges in the martial arts world, to welcome anyone to battle in these 10 years. This matter quickly spread. After a brief moment of calm, there was a violent reaction. Countless scholars and people that questioned Wang Lin with the secret support of the Zhao Emperor all headed for the city of Su along with anyone who thought they were qualified. There were many people in an inn on the official road 500 kilometers away. There were many scholars there, and people were all talking about Wang Lin's lecture. "Have you heard that Su Dao's student Wang Lin arrogantly announced a 10-year lecture? 10 years. The entire world is shocked. All the skeptics are heading there. Hee. Almost everyone already knows this. I say this Wang Lin does have talent, but he is not qualified to be the Grand Scholar of Zhao. I don't think so. Since he dares to say 10 years, that means he has confidence to back it up. I heard several dozen scholars visited him a few days ago and all returned in failure." A soft snort came from a table near the window in the inn. There were 4 people sitting there, 3 young ones and 1 old man. The old man drank tea as he listened. He looked calm, but there was disdain hidden in his eyes. Someone who merely passed the first exam dares to lecture. Sir shouldn't have accepted him back then. The title of Grand Scholar should belong to me, Su Yi. Similar things happened all over the country of Zhao. The closer they were to the city of Su, the more common it became. Inside the city of Su, the door to the Su mansion was opened all day long. It wouldn't close for 10 years. Wang Lin calmly sat inside the courtyard and drank osmanthus wine as he coldly looked at the 100 scholars before him. It had been 4 months since he said he would lecture for 10 years. More than 1,000 people had come to the mansion. Today, another 100 people came, filling the courtyard. Some people were standing outside the door, and even further out were countless carriages with old men sitting inside. As time passed, even more scholars from all over Zhao rushed over to the city of Su. "I'm Dong Yun. I was in the same generation of examinee as Sir. I am now an official at the palace and have a question I'd like Sir's help on." A middle-aged man stood up from the ground. He gave off a proud aura as he stood straight. I don't understand what the meaning of the changes of the 4 seasons are. I hope sir can tell me. The middle-aged man looked at Wang Lin and slightly clasped his hands. You were born in spring, grew up in summer, became old in autumn and died in winter. You ask me about spring, summer, autumn and winter, but in my eyes you are growing old and dying of illness. Wang Lin drank a mouthful of wine. The middle-aged man was startled by Wang Lin's response and asked in a daze, then why would one grow old and die of illness? Wang Lin leisurely said, because you're still alive. The middle-aged man was startled on the spot for a long time, but there was still confusion in his eyes. He didn't understand. The moment you die, you will think back about your life from birth to death. This process can't escape the 4 seasons. Send off the guest. Wang Lin waved his sleeve and a servant arrived. The servant led the stunned middle-aged scholar that seemed to have understood something out. I want to ask sir something. I'm a scholar of great talent. When I meet people in my hometown, no one can beat me. But why have others succeed while I have nothing after 30 years? A fallen old man filled with confusion clasped his hands at Wang Lin. The country of Zhao has mountains that are high and low. The high mountains might not reach the peak, and the low mountains might contain a spirit vein. You only compare the height of the mountains, why not see them as mountains instead? Send off the guest. The surrounding people went into an uproar. The countless scholars were shocked and began to ponder. A young man couldn't squeeze into the courtyard, so he shouted, I ask sir, why is there rain in this world and what is rain? Good question. Wang Lin stood up and walked up the ladder with a jug of wine in his hand until he reached the highest point. Looking at the people below, there was something unusual about him. There were many people here right now, and when he looked into the distance he saw even more people rushing over. The entire city seemed to be moving. Almost all the scholars who had come to the city beside those that had already questioned him were here today. Wang Lin's gaze fell on a restaurant in the distance. He could see a middle-aged man sitting in the restaurant. This person wore an expensive robe and gave off a sense of might without being angry. He had many bodyguards behind him, and he coldly looked toward the Su mansion. His gaze fell on Wang Lin, who was standing on the high steps. Looking at Wang Lin, the middle-aged man's eyes became gloomy. Looking at Wang Lin, he felt like he was staring at Su Dao from the past. Beside him sat 2 youths wearing Daoist robes. They had their eyes closed and wore calm expressions. Su Dao died, he will also die. The country of Zhao doesn't need a grand scholar. However, he can't die to us mortals. I trouble you 2 immortals to help us. I'll do my best to meet your requirements. One of the young men had an arrogant expression as he slowly said, Mere mortal, you want him die, then he will die. Wang Lin drank a mouthful of wine and revealed an easygoing expression. He looked at the young man who had asked the question. I heard something in my dream. I'll gift it to you. The rain is born in the sky and dies on the earth. The process in the middle is life. After he spoke, the uproar became shocking. As it spread, even the people outside heard it. Most of the old men in the carriages outside were moved. A few silently got up and clasped their hands at Wang Lin before summoning their servants to leave. Just this sentence alone let them know that the title of Grand Scholar was not false. I heard sir followed Su Dao for more than 10 years and is very knowledgeable. I ask, why are there immortals in this world and why are we mortals but ants to them? An old voice came from the courtyard. The surrounding people moved aside as an old man slowly walked forward. This old man obviously had a high reputation. Wang Lin didn't know him, but many people here did. They all respectfully bowed at him. Immortals have power, and the power fuses with their hearts, making their hearts increase infinitely so they can see mortals as ants. However, if you have an ideal and expand that ideal to comprehend the world and understand the truth, you can see immortals as immortals without the awe. So what if you look at immortals as if they are ants? Wang Lin drank a mouthful of wine and began to laugh. The old man's body trembled. After murmuring for a moment, he bowed at Wang Lin. He then left with the support of his servant. As the scholars asked questions, Wang Lin continued to drink osmanthus wine and laugh as he answered. More and more scholars clasped their hands at him and left. Some looked back at Wang Lin with respect that had never appeared before. However, although a lot of people were leaving, even more people were coming in. Sir, about the old saying the ancient words have clouds. Jen had heard it at the start of a song. Before the scholar could finish, Wang Lin interrupted him. I have forgotten the old texts and have comprehend the truth of the world so I can have my own thoughts. I have forgotten such things, don't ask again. Sir, Scholar Su had been seeking the meaning of karma his whole life, and it is something scholars have searched for thousands of years, but no one knows. I ask if Sir understands it, and if Sir can explain it so I can understand as well. Karma is karma. There is no need to comprehend it. It can only be experienced. There is nothing to explain. If you understand it, then you understand it. If you don't understand it, you don't understand it. I could stand here explaining it for 10 years, and you still would not understand. Wang Lin looked up when he finished drinking his wine and threw the jug to the side. Big Fortune, bring more wine. Instead of heartache, Big Fortune felt proud. He quickly took out a jug and handed it to Wang Lin. I want to ask Scholar Wang this. Before, you said that if you expand your thoughts infinitely to include the world itself, there is no need to fear immortals and you can view immortals as ants. Then can you do it? The speaker was a gloomy old man. He stared at Wang Lin from within the crowd as his hoarse voice echoed. Wang Lin knew this person. He was the Su Dao's first student, Su Yi, who was already famous in the imperial court. Why can't I? Wang Lin drank and laughed. As soon as he said this, one of the two youths sitting next to the middle-aged man in the restaurant, the one that spoke earlier, opened his eyes. His body flickered and he turned into a ray of light and charged toward Wang Lin. Ignorant ant. Disrespecting immortals means death. A gloomy voice filled with majesty echoed. The expressions of all the scholars below changed and they all kneeled in terror. Immortal. It's actually an immortal. Wang Lin disrespected immortals and now an immortal came here to punish him. He deserves it. The ray of light closed in and the cold sword light was chilling. The young man in the robe held a sword with contempt and disdain in his eyes. He looked around and then instantly closed in on Wang Lin. The moment the young man in the Taoist robe closed in, Wang Lin let out a roar without any sense of fear. You dare! After he spoke, a powerful aura erupted from his body, and an invisible pressure covered the world. The heavens rumbled and countless bolts of thunder and lightning appeared. Before, the world was calm, but now it suddenly changed. This sudden change caused the expressions of all the kneeling scholars to change. This also caused the expression of the middle-aged man in the restaurant far away to instantly turn pale. Impossible! The other young man in the Taoist robe suddenly opened his eyes. There was disbelief and terror in his eyes. Although Wang Lin's words weren't loud, they were heaven-shaking. The expression of the young man holding the flying sword changed greatly. He was only an early-stage foundation establishment cultivator. When he looked at Wang Lin seemed very large. That roar had also caused the sky to change colors. That mighty aura formed an invisible barrier that caused the young man's face to turn pale. He actually coughed out blood and his sword light dimmed. He didn't dare to move forward, and the flying sword in his hand fell to the ground. Then he quickly retreated. Impossible, impossible. You are just a mortal, you're just an ant. You can't make me afraid. The young man trembled like crazy and his mind rumbled. His voice became twisted as he retreated, causing the people kneeling to be filled with disbelief. Throughout the ages, such a thing had never been seen before. A mortal had just dared to scold an immortal cultivator. That thunderous roar seemed to linger forever in one's ears. As the young man retreated, the other young man stepped out. His cultivation level was far above the others. He was at the mid-stage of foundation establishment. He stepped forward and his hands pressed against his fellow sect member's back. He looked at Wang Lin and Big Fortune, who were the only people standing. With this glance, he faintly saw an aura above Wang Lin that made him tremble. This aura was strong, and with just a glance, his mind was filled with countless complicated thoughts. It seemed like it was going to break his mind and force him to cough out a mouthful of blood. I have comprehended the world, so what if I see immortals as ants? Forget the two of you, even if all the immortals on planet Suzaka came, so what? Wang Lin looked up, and thunder seemed to be flashing his eyes. His long hair fluttered and he drank a mouthful of wine. Terrified, the young man felt his scalp go numb. This kind of thing was beyond his imagination. Although Wang Lin looked fragile, he could sense a powerful upright aura that didn't fear the heavens or earth. It was comparable to a spell that could hurt them, and it made him feel a sense of respect. How can this be? He is just a mortal, just a mortal. How could he give off such an aura? This person can't be offended. He didn't dare to leave like this, but he remained in the air with a respectful expression. He clasped his hands at Wang Lin as if he was greeting an elder. It was our fault. I hope Grand Scholar won't take offense. We will leave now and never enter the city of Su again. With that, the young man quickly left while supporting the other young man. The surroundings suddenly became silent. Wang Lin stood there and drank a mouthful of wine. A gust of wind blew by, causing his clothes to flutter before everyone. What's impossible about it? Wang Lin put down the jug of wine and his gaze fell into the crowd. He saw the pale-faced Sui that had asked the question. Sui lowered his head and his body started to tremble. It took a long time for him to struggle to get up and bow at Wang Lin. Sui greets Zhao's Grand Scholar. We greet Zhao's Grand Scholar. All the scholars clasped their hands. Their trembling eyes revealed indescribable reverence. What happened today was something they would never forget. The many old men in the carriages outside lowered their heads. They were content with their loss. They could have never imagined in their lives that a mortal could frighten an immortal, but now they had witnessed it. A complicated sense of pride appeared in their hearts. If your thoughts are infinitely large, if you understand the truth of the world, then you can even look at immortals as ants. This line spread across the country of Zhao from today onward. I'm tired. Wang Lin took the wine jug and looked at the restaurant. The middle-aged man in the restaurant was drenched in sweat and in a daze. He didn't dare to look at Wang Lin but lowered his head and bowed. Wang Lin and Big Fortune turned and went back into the mansion. The countless scholars bowed for a long time before they leaving one by one. Finally, everyone who came for their own reasons slowly left and the city of Su gradually became quiet. No one dared to say a word of doubt anymore. The storm from before disappeared without a trace. Due to this matter, Wang Lin's reputation surged in Zhao and he completely replaced his teacher, Su Dao, as Zhao's Grand Scholar. A Grand Scholar that could frighten immortals. Time passed. Wang Lin's 10-year lecture was still ongoing, but no one was qualified to question him. If anyone came, they were like students who respectfully listened to his teachings. In the blink of an eye, 8 years passed. In 8 years of time, Wang Lin had gone from his early 40s to someone who was almost half a century old. His hair had started to turn white. During these 8 years, Wang Lin would spend a few days out of every month sitting on the boat with Big Fortune while drinking osmanthus wine. He was always waiting for that person that hadn't come according to the agreement. Not just these 8 years, but he did the same thing in the 20 years before that. A total of 28 years, 28 changes between the spring and autumn. However, in the end, as the boat passed under the bridge, that person still didn't arrive. Master, what are you waiting for? Big Fortune was still healthy, but he had become even more stingy. He often looked at his right wrist in a daze trying to recall something, but he still couldn't remember. Wang Lin's face was a bit old and he looked up at the sky. He slowly spoke with a hoarse voice. I'm waiting for myself, waiting for a meeting with myself. There was still a white bird swirling in the air. It had accompanied Wang Lin for 28 years without any change. As Wang Lin looked, he became a bit tired and leaned against the boat. He fell asleep as the zither music echoed in his ears. The music seemed to fuse with his dream. There seemed to be zither music in that dream too. Big Fortune let out a sigh and he looked at his right wrist in a daze. The sunlight at noon was very soft and warm when it landed on Wang Lin's body, so Wang Lin slept very well. However, during this season, there were some willow leaves floating through the air. One flew softly across Wang Lin's face, causing him to open his eyes. The boat was still moving. Looking at the willow leaf floating before him, Wang Lin suddenly smiled. Big Fortune, do you still remember when we just arrived at the city of Su more than 20 years ago? Back then, there was also this many willow leaves and we were also on a boat. As he laughed, a boat passed by. Just as the boat passed by, two soft and alluring voices came from the boat. Senior sister, these willow leaves are very annoying. They are very uncomfortable when they land on your body. If you don't think about them, then you won't think they exist. Junior sister, your heart is not calm. After he heard these voices, he was startled. He felt like they were faintly familiar, as if he had heard them before. He stood up and looked over. He saw the figures of two women above the boat. These two women were very young and very beautiful. They stood among the endless willow leaves like two celestials. The wind caused their clothes to flutter, making them even more beautiful. It's them. Wang Lin stared at the boat as it disappeared. In his mind, that boat from that rainy night from more than 20 years ago appeared. As he looked, he revealed a gentle smile. He could not forget how he looked at the ink-like dark clouds in the rain, how he looked at the mighty world and recited a poem. He still remembered how happy he was. The reprimand from the girl named Su Fei still lingered in his ears. His own blush and heartbeat inside that boat along with the beauty of those two girls were still in his memory. They hadn't faded. That thick coat was placed in the bamboo backpack from back then by Wang Lin. He still kept it there and had never taken it out. Wang Lin let out a sigh. He touched his white hair but didn't call out to them. He sat there and drank his wine. In his life he had never met a woman that made his heart move. Aside from big fortune and wine, the only other thing that accompanied him was the white bird in the sky. He didn't have a wife. He seemed to have walked through 28 years of his life in this loneliness. If there was a woman that made his heart move, it would have to be when he first met her. The girl named Zhou Rui, who had gifted him the coat. Leaning against the bow and drinking wine, Wang Lin looked down at the water and saw his own old face in the reflection. He had a lot more white hair now. The boat the two women were in gradually closed in until they passed by Wang Lin's boat. It was like two different trajectories in life and they continued on their different paths. Senior sister, I think that old man was looking at us. Su Fei looked at Wang Lin's back. The boat floated under a stone bridge. Zhou Rui turned around and her sharp eyes swept by. However, from her position, with the stone bridge blocking the way, she couldn't see anything. She was also not someone who would check with her divine sense just because someone had looked at her. The two boats floated further and further away from each other. Wang Lin sat on the boat and softly spoke to Big Fortune. Big Fortune, let's leave the city of Su. I have waited here for 28 years, we aren't waiting anymore. Let us go home. Home? Where is home? Big Fortune was startled. Under the Hengyu mountain. The boat docked on the shore and Wang Lin and Big Fortune got off. He looked back at the river and at the city of Su, where they had lived for 28 years. When they arrived, it was when the willow leaves had just begun to fall. There were a few jugs of wine, a carriage, and the two of them. When they left, it was the same. The carriage brought the two of them along with a few jug of wines out of the city of Su without anyone noticing. They slowly headed toward the direction of Wang Lin's home. It wasn't until dusk that the two women from the boat got off and walked down the streets of Su. Their appearances gradually changed and became very ordinary. Senior sister, you grew up here. Aside from the boat, is there any other fun place to go? We have been in closed-door cultivation for so long and finally got to come out. We have to have some fun. I'm going home to visit my parents and you have to follow me. There is no fun place in the city of Su. Tomorrow, I'm going to visit the grand scholar Su Dao. He was a family friend in his earlier years. Once you go there, you must not be disrespectful. Although he is immortal, even teacher is very polite to him. As the two spoke, a scholar walking by heard this and smiled. He saw that the two women were very ordinary, but he still stopped and explained. You two ladies must have been away from Zhao for a long time. Su Dao died more than 10 years ago. The great scholar of Zhao now is named Wang Lin. He is Su Dao's student. The two women were startled. The scholar shook his head and left with a smile. Wang Lin, a senior sister I remember. The old man that looked at you on the boat, although he is old, he was that little scholar Wang Lin. Zhou Rui stopped in her tracks and he looked back at the twilight. Before her, the image of the young man blushing appeared. Senior sister, what's wrong? Su Fei looked at Zhou Rui as if she had understood something. Zhou Rui silently pondered for a moment before gently shaking her head. She walked forward with Su Fei, but she only walked 10 steps before she clenched her teeth as if she had made a decision. Wait for me. After speaking one line, Zhou Rui's body flickered and she charged off into the distance. Her sudden action caused an uproar in the surroundings. The people nearby were in awe and disbelief. They were in a daze for a long time before they reacted. Immortal! That was an immortal! Su Fei looked at Zhou Rui's figure and her eyebrows slightly wrinkled. She let out a gentle sigh. Zhou Rui's divine sense spread across the river while flying above the city of Su. However, in the end she couldn't find that figure. Even after she searched the entire city of Su, it was still the same. Did he leave? Zhou Rui didn't know what was wrong with her. She wanted to see Wang Lin, but fate had made a fool out of her. Once two lives cross paths, they won't cross paths again for a short period of time. Dozens of kilometers outside the city of Su, the carriage squeaked as it moved along the road. Wang Lin was sitting in the carriage, allowing the wind to blow past him. He drank wine as he looked outside the curtain at the dim sky, thinking about something. Although he wasn't old, he no longer looked young. As he continued to drink wine, a few more strands of white hair appeared. He again saw the white bird circling in the sky and flying toward his home with him. Now that he was older, his body was not as good as when he was young. After being on the bumpy carriage for a long time, he felt like his bones were going to scatter. He was extremely tired. Just like this, they traveled and rested throughout the summer. After 4 months passed, Wang Lin and Big Fortune entered the area under the Hengyu Mountain in autumn. When he had left, the side of the road was covered in red and green flowers. When he returned, most of the flowers had withered and the leaves had turned yellow. Although they hadn't all fallen off, that time wasn't far. 28 years. Wang Lin looked at the grass and trees around him and his vision turned blurry. He remembered that when he left he was only a young man, but now that he had returned he was almost half a century old. The carriage slowly followed the official road into a quiet and hidden village in the mountains. Wang Lin was very familiar with everything here, he grew up here. He didn't catch the attention of too many neighbors as he brought Big Fortune to the home he had left all those years ago. His parents were still there, but his once tough father was now supporting himself with a stick. He stood there with the help of Wang Lin's white-haired mother. They looked toward the road at their child coming home. Even though this child had become the grand scholar of Zhao and the pride of the Wang family, to them, Wang Lin was the same as he was 28 years ago. He was still their child. It was the same now, and when they were taken to the city of Su it was also the same. The carriage stopped outside the courtyard. Wang Lin walked down from the carriage and immediately saw his parents. He revealed a soft smile. Wang Lin stepped forward and knelt down. "Father, mother, Taizhu has returned." Big Fortune blinked. After he got off the carriage, he also knelt down and loudly said, "Father, mother, Big Fortune has returned." Wang Lin's father laughed. He ignored Wang Lin and quickly helped Big Fortune up. He shook his head and laughed. "You still the same as back then. You have taken care of Lin Air for all these years, I can't thank you enough. But don't copy him." Wang Lin stood up and looked at his parents' happy smiles. An unspeakable sense of warmth appeared in his heart. He held his mother's arm, supported his father, and let Big Fortune into the courtyard. "Taizhu, when will you leave this time?" Wang Lin's mother looked kindly at her son. Wang Lin was her pride. Still calling him Taizhu? Wang Lin is now the Grand Scholar of Zhao. Do you know what a Grand Scholar is? Even the Emperor has to respectful. Do you not see how the country lord always come over every year? Wang Lin's father stared at his wife. "I'm not leaving this time. Taizhu will stay to take care of both of you." Wang Lin looked at his mother. He saw her head of white hair and the wrinkles on her face. Wang Lin's return caused an uproar in the entire village for a few days. The neighbors all rushed over. They wanted to see the Grand Scholar of Zhao that made them all feel pride in their hearts. Even the scholars and officials from the nearby city rushed over once they learned of this. Along with them were relatives from the Wang family. In these few days, Wang Lin's father was radiant and stood straight. What he was most proud of in his life was his son, the Grand Scholar of Zhao. When he saw so many people coming, Wang Lin's father became even more proud. He took out silver to prepare a banquet in the village. The banquet in the village was originally very simple, but due to the push of many people, it became extremely luxurious. A chef was brought from the city along with materials and personally cooked it all. Wang Lin saw that his father was happy, so he didn't say anything. Given Wang Lin's personality, He normally wouldn't want a banquet and would prefer it to be quiet. However, since his parents were happy, he just let them be. The Wang family all came to visit Wang Lin. They were all respectful toward Wang Lin, and just one nod from him shocked them. Among these relatives there were older uncles, heads of families, and people in the same generation as him. As Wang Lin looked at this, he felt like he had encountered this before in his dream. Only there were great differences from his dream. During dusk, Wang Lin's parents seemed tired, so he left with them. The banquet gradually ended as everyone dispersed in the next few days. The mountain village became peaceful once more. Taizhu, you're not young anymore, why haven't you gotten married? Ah. Wang Lin's father was a bit drunk and muttered a few words. Then he let out a sigh and didn't speak about it anymore. Just like this, Wang Lin slowly watched the sun rise and set in the hometown he grew up in. He watched the years pass. It was 5 years later, in the autumn of the 33rd year since Wang Lin originally left his hometown. The autumn leaves were being swept by the wind and rustling on the ground, looking for their roots. Wang Lin's father laid in bed, holding Wang Lin's hands. There was reluctance in his eyes, but what was even more noticeable was relief and pride. Taizhu, your father's life will be unforgettable because of you. You father can't read, but I found people to gather your books and read them all to me. You once said that the reincarnation cycle is like the 4 seasons. Father remembers. Wang Lin's father smiled, but under that smile, under that pride and relief, Wang Lin could still sense a strong sense of fear. He was afraid of death, he was afraid of not being able to see his loved ones, and he was afraid of the loneliness and the unknown that came with death. He clung to Wang Lin's hand as if it was his life, his last root, the last person he could rely on. The light in his eyes dimmed. They were filled with helplessness. Dad, don't be afraid, I'm by your side. More than half of Wang Lin's hair was white, and he looked at his father with sadness in his eyes. He held his father's hand and leaned forward. Wang Lin held his father's thin body in his arms, just gently hugging him. Dad, you have me. Don't be afraid, you have me. Dad, do you still remember the birthday present you gave me? That little wooden colt. I found it the other day. Dad. In the yard outside, the large tree that seemed to have existed in the village for more than 100 years gave off a sense of age. Most of its leaves had been taken away by the wind, with only one leaf still hanging on. The wind rocked the leaf, and the leaf was running out of strength. In the end, the leaf fell off and landed in the room of the Wang family. Wang Lin's father was no longer afraid. He slowly closed his eyes. He lost his breath and died in his son's arms. The leaf from the tree seemed to have gained a soul and flew off into the distance. 2 years after his father left, Wang Lin's mother fell asleep and never woke up. She had a happy face, as if she had met Wang Lin's father in her dream. They reunited and didn't want to come back. There was a person that held you while you were still a baby. No matter how tired she was, she would still whisper to you until you were asleep and no longer crying. There was a person that worried about you wetting the bed as you slept and feared that you'd catch a cold. She would disregard her own sleep and wake up several times throughout the night to check your bed to see if it was wet. There was a person who endured her exhaustion to wake up to make you breakfast so you wouldn't be hungry as you grew up and studied. There was a person who would only eat the head and tail of the fish after learning you liked to eat fish. When you would smile and ask why she wouldn't eat the body of the fish, she would smile and reply that she liked eating the head and tail. You believed her. There was a person that mended your clothes for you as you grew. There are a few spots of red on the needles that were difficult for you to see. There was a person who would still look at you with the same gaze even after you grew up. She would silently look at you, silently be happy, silently smile until she silently closed her tired eyes. This person was called Mother. There was another person. When you were still a baby, he held you up high in the air until you replaced the sun and became everything to him. There was another person. Before you learned to walk and was still falling, he held your hand. He laughed as he helped you take your first step in life. There was another person that held your hand through the mountains and rivers as you laughed with joy. As you looked up, you would feel that he was the mountain, he was the sky. There was another person who saw you take it very seriously when your mother said she liked the fish's head and tail. Then saw you leave the head and tail to your mother. Yet he only sat there looking at his wife with an apologetic and soft gaze. There was another person who was stern as you grew up and would almost make you feel annoyed. However, as you grew up, you would gradually see the love you couldn't see before in those stern eyes. There was another person that laid on the bed with his eyes slowly closing but filled with fear and helplessness. However, your embrace and soft words made him like a child. Like when you were young and he raised you into the air. He no longer felt afraid and helpless, but warm as he died in your arms. This person was called Father. Wang Lin sat before this parent's tomb and his tears flowed. He laughed and cried. The memories were engraved in his mind and he would never forget them. He wasn't drinking wine, but at this moment it was as if he was drunk. In his dream in the other life he couldn't mourn for his parents. He couldn't hold his father's body as he died. He couldn't kiss his mother's forehead before she slept. In this life he was able to. If a man has a wife and children, then although the pain of losing his parents was strong, he still had someone to rely on. But if a man didn't have wife and children, his sorrow could shroud the world. From now on, there was no embrace that could warm his soul when he becomes exhausted. From now on, there was no smile that could dissipate this melancholy while he felt lonely. From now on, in this entire world, there was only his lone figure silently looking at the sun rise and fall. Wang Lin guarded the tomb for 3 years, until all his hair turned white. His body was no longer upright but slightly bent. His body gave off an ancient aura and a trace of time. 38 years. There were wrinkles on his face. He was now an old man that was almost 60 years old. Big Fortune was even older. He held a cane and stood behind Wang Lin. He silently looked at his right wrist, and after a long time he gently nodded. Life, how many 38 years can there be? I don't know about others, but for me there shouldn't be a next one, Wang Lin whispered as he knelt down before his parents' tomb and kowtowed. Do you still remember that old temple? Wang Lin got up and looked back at Big Fortune, who looked like he couldn't walk too far anymore. In that old temple, I said I was missing a book boy and you followed me. Wang Lin revealed a smile as he looked at Big Fortune. During these 38 years, Big Fortune had accompanied him along the whole way. Big Fortune can still be a book boy. Big Fortune rolled his eyes and grinned. You're old and I'm old. However, there are still things I want to do. Big Fortune, help me guard my home. Wait for me to come back. Wang Lin looked up at the sky and saw the white bird. I'm still missing a hint of understanding of the world. I want to spend the rest of my life going to the different countries on planet Suzaku. When I come back, perhaps I won't have gained anything. Perhaps I will have gained enlightenment. On the spring of the 38th year, Wang Lin left the mountain village by himself. Big Fortune stayed, silently awaiting Wang Lin's return. Perhaps it would be in 10 years, perhaps it would be in 20 years, perhaps it would be in a lifetime. Wang Lin sat in the carriage and drank wine by himself as it went away from the Hengyu mountain. A few months later, the carriage arrived at the border of Zhao, where Wang Lin got off. He discharged the coachman and took a deep breath. He looked back at Zhao and took a step forward, crossing the border. This was the first time he had left Zhao in his life. He didn't know where the future would lead, but he didn't think about it. He only knew that the road would be beneath his feet. Just as he stepped forward, several rays of light flew by above him. He didn't look up but calmly walked forward. A soft sound came from the rays of light above. It came from a beautiful woman among several cultivators. Aside from her beauty, she was very charming, and this charm wasn't fake but natural. She stopped in the air and looked down at Wang Lin, who was walking away. Her brow wrinkled and her eyes were filled with confusion. What's the matter, junior sister Lu? A cultivator beside her opened his mouth in surprise. Nothing. You all return to the sect first. I have some personal matters, the beautiful woman said softly. She no longer paid attention to them and flew down. The cultivator that spoke was startled and was going to follow. Senior brother, I want to be alone. The woman's soft but determined voice echoed. The cultivator stopped and pondered for a bit. Then he left along with the rest of the group, who were also surprised. Wang Lin stopped and turned around. He looked back at the sky and the beautiful ray of light closed in. The light stopped 100 feet from him and turned into a beautiful woman in purple. The woman was very beautiful. Her beauty was something Wang Lin had never seen before in his life. She was several times more beautiful than Zhou Rui. However, Wang Lin didn't enter a daze. He had seen through everything and pursued the truth of the world. He had his own thoughts. In his eyes, although the woman was beautiful, once she closed her eyes and entered the soil, she would be no different from any other woman. The woman looked at the old Wang Lin, at his white hair and wrinkled face, at his bright eyes. After a long time she gave a slight bow. "Senior, I saw you decades ago. Now that we are meeting for a second time, do you still remember me?" Wang Lin looked at the woman before him and began to ponder. After a long time he smiled and shook his head, saying in a hoarse voice, "I forgot." "Since you forgot, then let it be forgotten. Senior, I don't know why, but I've always felt like we've met somewhere before. Not just this time, but last time as well. I want to know, what is your name?" the woman asked softly with a smile. Wang Lin remained calm and slowly said, "This old man is named Wang Lin." "Wang Lin?" The woman frowned and carefully thought for a long time. "Are you Zhao's grand scholar, Wang Lin?" "This old man is." Wang Lin nodded. His eyes gazed off an ancient aura. His gaze was profound, as if it contained the world. "I must have remembered wrong." The woman thought for a long time and couldn't think of where that feeling of familiarity and that stinging pain was coming from. She looked at Wang Lin and didn't understand why that feeling would become even more intense as she looked at him. His old face made her feel a sting in her heart and an unspeakable sadness. "Excuse me, farewell." She let out a sigh. She turned to leave with confusion in her eyes and pain in her chest. Wang Lin softly said, "I wonder what is young lady's name?" The woman stopped and turned around. Lu Mei. Below her pretty eyes, she revealed a beautiful smile that could cause one's heart to skip a beat. After hesitating for a bit, she took out a pill from her bag of holding. "You are getting old. This pill can help you keep your energy. It is fate that we have met, so this is my gift to you. Goodbye." Lu Mei put down the pill. Clouds appeared under her feet and she flew into the air, looking very beautiful. It is a previous life or reincarnation, or is it a dream? Or is it nothing at all? Lu Mei, that woman from my dream that caused me to awaken from pain. Wang Lin looked at the pill. He hid his thoughts very well. After a long time, it wasn't until that woman was far away that Wang Lin suddenly looked up. He used all his strength to let out a roar. "Lu Mei, you have to remember. No matter what, whether it is the next life or reincarnation or a dream, don't get close to a cultivator named Wang Lin. Don't get to know him, don't get close to him." Lu Mei had already left and Wang Lin didn't know if she had heard. He used all his strength until his voice went hoarse and there was no trace of that ray of light. Wang Lin didn't know if his words would have any use, and even he was in a state of confusion. After a long time he picked up the pill. A moment later, he let out a sigh and walked away. He walked on planet Suzaka by himself. He didn't stay in one place but crossed countless mountains and rivers with his comprehension of the world. He walked from one country to another. The years went by and Wang Lin devoured that pill. The pill gave him endless energy and the strength to fulfill his wish of traveling the world. On his way, he saw countless strange faces. Among them, some kind, some fierce, some confused, and some stubborn. He encountered robbers and bandits, but every time he encountered them, he only had to stand there and they would feel that mighty aura coming from him. Wang Lin could frighten cultivators, so there was no need to talk about mortals. As he walked, his face became even more old, but his eyes became even brighter. They contained his endless wisdom and comprehension. This allowed his mind to be reborn and evolve. He went to too many cities and saw too many people. He even went to many capital cities. Among the many imperial capitals and officials, Wang Lin's temperament and words caused people to slowly respect him. He even saw many emperors that enjoyed high status. In his eyes, these people were all the same. There was no difference. It wasn't that there weren't people that wanted his life, but anyone who had that feeling would end up backing away in awe before Wang Lin. The country of Wu, inside the palace surrounded by thousands of soldiers. If the emperor gave a command, the army would move. He wanted Wang Lin to stay and become the country of Wu's grand scholar. But in the end, Wang Lin smiled, shook his head, and he left. Thunder rumbled in the sky and the sky changed colors. The thousands of soldiers didn't dare to block him. After he left, they all clasped their hands toward him. In the country of Sun, the Emperor of Sun and his countless subjects followed Wang Lin thousands of kilometers to send him off. In the country of Heavenly Dog there were countless evil people, but in the end when Wang Lin left, he reformed tens of thousands of people. As he walked, the name Grand Scholar Wang Lin set off a storm on planet Suzaku. This storm became even more intense and was remembered by countless people. Along the way, Wang Lin saw countless mountains. He stood on the mountains and looked at the world, feeling its might. He also met immortals, a lot of strange and familiar figures. On planet Suzaku, there were many sects in these cultivation countries. Many of them built their sects in beautiful mountains, but some were built in dangerous areas as well. Every mountain he passed, if Wang Lin wanted to, he could walk into a sect based off the feeling in his heart without deliberately looking for it. Although the power of the sect protection formations varied, none of them could stop Wang Lin. He would then be detected by all the shocked cultivators inside the sect. Even the elders that were in closed-door cultivation for countless years would be awakened from the powerful aura coming from Wang Lin's body. Wang Lin calmly entered and calmly left. He only looked at the mountain, enjoyed the scenery, and comprehended the world. As for others, they were all the same to him. Even among the cultivation world, the name of the mortal Grand Scholar Wang Lin slowly spread. The cultivators knew that on planet Suzaku, there was a grand scholar that even cultivators felt awe and respect for. They didn't feel awe for his power but his thoughts. Whether it is immortal or mortal, all of them are leisurely beings. Wang Lin left some of his words everywhere he went. Among cultivators, many talked to him to gain insight and comprehend the world. They formed their own domains and reached the soul formation stage. Even those that were already at the soul formation stage or beyond came to talk to him and were still shocked by his words. 1 year time passed, and in the blink of an eye it had been 12 years. During these 12 years, Wang Lin had gone to many places. His name had unknowingly spread to many places he hadn't been. 12 years ago, he left Zhao by himself. 12 years later, he was still alone as he walked across planet Suzaku. On this day, as the snow fell, Wang Lin arrived at the capital of a country he didn't know the name of. This country was very big, it was equal to 3 Zhaos. Wang Lin had come to this capital city in his dream. He stood outside the gate as the snow fell, and a hint of melancholy appeared on his old face. He tightened the coat around him and entered the city. Walking on the snow on the ground, Wang Lin entered a very quiet street in the city. There were shops on both sides, but there were very few people in the shops. Looking at the familiar place, the images from his dream became even more real. It was as if this dream was overlapping with what he was seeing. Wang Lin entered a trance as he slowly walked forward. Dong dong. The sound of iron being hit came from the distance. Wang Lin looked over and saw a blacksmith shop with his old eyes. Inside the shop, there was a middle-aged man who had his stout upper body revealed as he held a hammer and struck the iron. Although snow was falling, the man didn't feel cold at all. He continued to swing the hammer, creating that sound. Beside the man was a small chair where a 7 or 8-year-old boy sat, dressed in a thick cotton coat. His face was flushed and he looked excitedly at the man. Daimyo. Wang Lin's eyes became blurry and he gently shook his head. The child before him was not the daimyo from his dream. Senior, you have stood outside for a long time, come inside to warm up. The man put down his hammer and wiped away his sweat. He turned to Wang Lin outside the shop and smiled. Wang Lin was stunned for a moment before he nodded with a smile. He went into the blacksmith shop, the hot air melting a lot of the snow on his body. Wife, bring some good warm wine. The man put on a coat. Seeing that Wang Lin was old, he helped Wang Lin sit down and sat down beside Wang Lin. The man smiled. Senior is not a local? Wang Lin looked at the shop and softly said, I came here once more. Now that I pass by here again, I came to look around. The boy that was 7 or 8 years old looked curiously at Wang Lin. When he heard his mother's voice, he got up and ran over. Shortly after, he appeared with a middle-aged woman with a wine jug. The woman looked virtuous and poured a cup of wine for Wang Lin with pity in her eyes. Senior, the weather is cold. Drink a cup of wine to warm your body. Did you come here to look for your relatives? Wang Lin smiled but didn't speak. He picked up the wine up and took a sip before drinking the entire cup. Senior, the wine of my Tsung family is pretty good, right? Haha. My grandfather was not a blacksmith but a wine seller. It was me who opened up the blacksmith shop. The man picked up his cup and laughed after drinking it. The fire in the shop was very strong and formed a powerful contrast against the snow outside. It forced the coldness from the snow out. Wang Lin sat there and drank the Tsang family's wine. He couldn't tell if this was a dream or not. After a long time, when the snow became lighter, Wang Lin got up and said his goodbyes. The man felt pity toward Wang Lin and gifted him some wine to warm his body. When Wang Lin left, the sky was dark, but thanks to the snow, the ground was very bright, allowing him to see far. As he walked, the light from the blacksmith shop disappeared behind him. He walked further away as the moonlight dragged his shadow. After that brief rest, Wang Lin seemed to have understood something. He still walked across planet Suzaku and went to many places. It was now the 15th year since Wang Lin left Zhao. He was now in his early 70s. His spine was even more bent and his body gave off the feeling of his twilight years, but his eyes became as bright as the sun. No one dared to look at his eyes. His eyes contained karma, contained life and death, contained true and false. Not even his teacher, Su Dao, had this temperament. In the summer of the 15th year, in a strange country, the rain fell and Wang Lin stood inside a pavilion next to the road. He looked at the rain outside and he could faintly see the sea in the distance through the rain. That sea was very large, it separated two continents. On the other side of the sea there were many countries. That was the last place Wang Lin wanted to go. There was a woman there that he loved in his other life. He had to go take a look. The rain fell until it formed lines. The world became a blur until he could only see the outline. Wang Lin looked at the rain and listened to the sound as he slowly closed his eyes. Just as he closed his eyes, the figure of a woman walked closer from the distance. The woman seemed to be surrounded by a cold aura. As she walked closer, cracking sounds echoed and the rain turned into ice. She was holding a baby, and the baby was wrapped in a thick quilt. No rain landed on the baby, and the baby was asleep. The woman stopped before the pavilion. She was middle-aged, but her face was still beautiful and delicate. However, her cold aura gave off a powerful killing intent. "Are you Grand Scholar Wang Lin?" Wang Lin opened his eyes and calmly looked at the woman before nodding. One of them stood inside the pavilion, where there was no rain. The other stood outside the pavilion, and there was also no rain. All the rain turned into ice around her. "I came from Shuiyu and have a question to ask you." The woman's voice was cold, as if it came from the snow. Wang Lin looked at the cold woman and then his gaze fell on the baby wrapped in the quilt. After pondering for a bit, he nodded. The woman's expression was still indifferent and her eyes seemed to contain the winter wind. She looked at Wang Lin and the world behind him. "Your name is famous on planet Suzaku. I have even heard of you all the way in Shuiyu. Sir is a grand scholar that has helped many cultivators comprehend the world. I came today for this child." The woman looked down at the sleeping baby. There was a hint of softness in her cold eyes. The coldness in her voice dissipated somewhat as she looked at the baby in her arms and said, "Everyone says Sir has seen through the world, understands karma, is indifferent to life and death, and walks between true and false. Could you give this child her own path? This child's parents both died when she was born. I just happened to pass by when I saw her. She was already stiff and on the verge of death. I took pity and took a closer look, and I found out that she is extremely talented. She has the aura of the 5 elements in her body. If she survives, she will be a son for planet Suzaku. However, her life will be a bumpy one. I'm good at divination and divinated that this child will face a calamity. Since I have encountered her, I got myself involved and will become someone to help her pass her calamity. The more she grows, the more the life and death calamity becomes more clear. My cultivation is limited, so I can only use my spell to keep her from growing, keeping her in the state of a baby. I heard Sir is talented, so I sought you out for help." The woman's voice was cold as she spoke softly. Just at this moment, a flash of lightning appeared in the sky and thunder rumbled. The thunder seemed to be too loud and woke the sleeping baby. She opened her pure eyes and began to cry. Even after the thunder passed, the cry of the baby still echoed. Wang Lin looked at the baby and softly said, "Let me hold her." The woman pondered a bit before handing the baby to Wang Lin. Wang Lin held the baby and looked down at her. This was a baby girl. Although she was crying, she was very lovely. There seemed to be a red dot imprinted on her soul. Tears flowed down from her eyes and made the quilt around her wet. It was strange. The girl cried loudly in the woman's arms when she woke up, but in Wang Lin's arms she slowly stopped crying. Her innocent eyes were open wide as she looked at Wang Lin. Wang Lin's old face slowly smiled and his right hand gently rubbed the baby girl's nose. The baby girl immediately began to laugh happily. Wang Lin softly asked, "What is her name?" The woman pondered a bit before she said, "Her parents died early, so I don't know either. Over the years I never gave her a name. How about you give her a name, sir?" Her voice still contained some coldness. Wang Lin looked at the smiling and happy baby girl. He vaguely felt a familiar aura from this baby girl. After a long time, Wang Lin looked up at rain. The distance was covered by the rain. For an instant, a colorful butterfly could be seen taking shelter from the wind and rain. If the butterfly and Appo's wings became wet due to the rain, it wouldn't be able to fly. If the butterfly's body was hit by the wind, it was like a hurricane for a person. Looking at the butterfly under the leaf, Wang Lin's eyes revealed enlightenment. He looked at the butterfly for a long time. Let's call her Red Butterfly. The butterfly in the rain with its bright and delicate red light that will walk its proud and bright life. Wang Lin's words were soft and revealed an inexplicable feeling as he looked down at the baby girl. The baby girl seemed to be able to understand Wang Lin's words and laughed even more. "I don't know spells and I don't know how to help her avoid her life and death calamity. I have seen something in my dream, and I'll draw it for you. If you can understand it, perhaps it can resolve her life and death calamity." Wang Lin sighed as he handed the baby girl back to the cold woman. He raised his right hand into the rain and headed to the stone table in the pavilion. He closed his eyes as if he was recalling something and began to draw out a complex pattern. This pattern was a formation. This formation was extremely complicated, and it shocked the woman from Shuiyu. She carefully remembered it. After a long time, Wang Lin finished the last stroke and opened his eyes. "After you comprehend this, take a strand of the baby girl's hair and place it inside." Wang Lin had a complicated expression as he looked at the sky. The dark clouds began to dissipate. The pattern on the table gradually dissipated with the wind and could not be seen clearly anymore. The woman from Suyu closed her eyes for a moment before bowing at Wang Lin. She held the baby and walked toward the rain. Wang Lin didn't look at the woman's back. He stared at the pavilion and watched the rain weaken. There was confusion in his eyes. Karma. Is this karma true like a past life? Or false and I'm just completing it on my own? Wang Lin didn't understand. The rain stopped outside the pavilion and a rainbow appeared. The butterfly that took shelter under the leaf from the rain flew into the air. It flew before Wang Lin and off into the distance. With a sigh, Wang Lin walked out of the pavilion. He walked off into the distance toward the sea. On the 15th year after leaving Zhao, Wang Lin had arrived near the sea. He boarded a merchant ship traveling between the two continents. He was going to see the world over there. The sea was boundless and magnificent. The wind blew and the waves rolled by the merchant ship. Standing on the ship, Wang Lin smelled the sea breeze as his white hair fluttered. The ocean wind blew by, but it couldn't blow away the traces of time. The sun and moon over the sea had their own taste. This was the first time Wang Lin had been out to sea, but he didn't feel any discomfort. He looked at the water and an aura filled his body. The sky above the sea had a group of seagulls flying in circles. The bright sun shrouded the entire sea. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. After 5 months, the merchant ship had completely entered the depths of the sea. As the wind blew and the sailors sang their unique songs, Wang Lin revealed a smile. On a day in the 6th month, it was early morning when the sun had just begun to rise that Wang Lin woke up from all the noise outside. He walked out and saw the sailors he had been with for half a year kneeling on the ground. They were worshipping toward the east. Wang Lin looked over and his body trembled violently. On the surface of the sea to the east, among the hazy sky, an illusory image appeared. The image depicted a volcano mouth, and it was erupting. The mountain trembled and 2 large cracks like 2 dragons entangled together appeared. It was like a sign. Endless lava sprayed out and smoke flew out, covering the sky inside the image. There was no sound, it was only an image. The scene of the volcano erupting caused everyone on the boat to kneel. From far away, the illusory image fused with the world. It looked extremely real but gave off a sense of haziness at the same time. It made it impossible for people to tell if it was real or not. As Wang Lin stared at the illusory world, his mind rumbled. True and false. True and false. The book said that the sea has a spirit named Xian, and that its breath creates a mirage. This scene, is it real or is it fake? Does it really exist somewhere, or is it only an illusion? Sea spirit, don't be angry. Sea spirit, don't be angry. The mortals trembled and knelt on the ground when they saw this incomprehensible scene. Their hearts trembled. Although it wasn't the first time they had seen it, they hadn't seen it much before. Ancient legends said that if anyone saw an illusion at sea, it was because the sea spirit had been angered and would punish all life at sea. Wang Lin was adazed, so he didn't see that the mortals had all gotten up and dropped a large amount of cargo into the sea. They were trying to give sacrifice to the sea spirit and appease its anger. This should be fake. It doesn't exist, it's a complete illusion. Something like this can't appear in this world. This is not something that happened somewhere in this world. This should be an immortal cultivating under the sea, and his spells are causing this. Wang Lin murmured. He had seen through the truth of the world, but what he saw now was unimaginable. Wang Lin took a deep breath and murmured, "Fake? This is fake." However, his voice suddenly stopped and his eyes widened. His right hand unconsciously raised to point at the illusory volcano in the distance, and disbelief filled his eyes. Her. In the illusory image, as the black smoke filled the world, a woman appeared. She wore white, and although not a supreme beauty, she gave off a feeling of tenderness. Her long hair waved and danced with her clothes. She looked like a fairy as she appeared from the dust. This woman walked out from the black cloud, and her jade-like hand pointed downwards. The erupting volcano trembled and showed signs of extinguishing. When Wang Lin saw the woman, he seemed to lose all his strength and was stunned there. An unreasonable sense of sadness surged and swept through his body like a storm. His entire body was drowned in sadness, and 2 lines of tears flowed down from his eyes. It's her. Wang Lin's body was already old, but now it was even older. He leaned against the boat as he looked at the woman in white inside the illusion. His gaze seemed to last for an eternity. After 1 hour, the illusory image disappeared before everyone, before Wang Lin's eyes. All the crew members still trembled, and they remained silent. They couldn't forget what they had seen inside the Imagine, especially those burning rocks that scattered as the volcano erupted. The scene they saw made it so they couldn't tell if it was real or fake, but they knew it was the anger of the sea spirit. Wang Lin leaned against the ship and seemed to lose all his strength. 2 streams of tears flowed down the wrinkles on his face and soaked his clothes. He looked at the image that had disappeared, and his mind went blank. The only thing that remained was that delicate white silhouette. Is this real or fake? Is it even this a dream? After a long time, Wang Lin shook his head and looked at the sea. Time passed. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. On the 9th month of Wang Lin's journey at sea, he saw the real anger of the sea. At night, the dark clouds covered the sky and thunder rumbled. Lightning flashed and a few bolts seemed to strike deep into the sea. This caused the sky to flicker between darkness and light. Every time lightning flashed, it would light up the sea. During that brief moment of light, you could see the waves surging. The fierce sound of the waves could compete with the thunder. The wind roared across the sea and hit the ship. Every sailor was fearfully struggling between life and death, as they manipulated this merchant ship to endure against the wrath of the sea. Every single person was praying. Everyone wanted to leave behind their last words that might not see the light of day again. The storm raged, thunder rumbled, lightning flashed, and monstrous waves raged. Deep in the night, Wang Lin stood on the boat and clung to the pole next to him. His body seemed to lose control, trembling violently. The wind came by once and completely soaked his clothes. Water dripped from his white hair, but his eyes were bright. As he looked at the wrath of the surging sea, his eyes became brighter and brighter. His heart expanded infinitely until it was enough to shroud the world. This is the power of the heavens, this is the real truth. This the mercilessness of nature. Wang Lin laughed. His old laughter was weak compared to the thunder and waves, but it revealed the might of his heart. He watched the mortals struggling to survive. He watched the merchant ship shake violently as if it was going to be submerged and devoured at any moment. Wang Lin looked at all these people and saw the unwillingness in their hearts. However, this unwillingness was a bit weak and was simply insignificant before this wind and rain. As the wind and waves became even more intense, a powerful wave arrived and the mast broke. It landed on a crew member who tried to dodge but was too late. Luckily, he wasn't seriously injured and struggled to climb out. He pulled the ropes and continued to struggle for survival. However, the merchant ship was like a lone leaf in the wrath of the sea. It didn't have the power to contest against the waves. The entire ship gave off a sound as if it couldn't bear it anymore and would crumble soon. An aura of despair permeated across the ship and filled everyone's hearts. Wang Lin no longer grasped the pole but joined the sailors, disregarding his old age. He did his best to resist the rage of the sea. "Don't give up, we still have strength." A middle-aged had a grin as he held onto a rope and let the sail down. The waves passed by beside him. At this moment of life and death, he began singing a sailor tune they all knew. A teenager less than 20 years old wiped the sweat from his face and roared, "Don't despair, we still have dreams." It was as if he had found the courage he lost with this roar. "Don't be discouraged, we still have tomorrow." More crew members began to sing amid the wind and waves. Their voices echoed together and fused into a defying sound to live. "Don't give me, we still have the will. Don't close your eyes, we still have to see the sun rise. The heavens and earth are mighty, but they can't cover the voices of our survival. We travel the sea for a living. How can we fear death? The wrath of the sea spirit can frighten us, can drown us, but it can't stop our song." All the crew members began to roar this song that had been passed down since ancient times across the seas of planet Suzaka. The voices gave off a sense of courage, an indomitable spirit, a desire to live, and their fearlessness toward death. Wang Lin's old body trembled when he heard this cry. His eyes shined even brighter than before. This is a defying will against the heavens and earth. Life and death, this defying will is born between life and death. It is because of reluctance and unwillingness that this defying will appears. If there was no reluctance and no unwillingness, there would be no life and death. Life is life and death is death. I understand. Wang Lin's mind trembled. He was still confused about karma, life and death, true and false, unable to see through them completely. However, when he heard the sailor's song, he suddenly gained enlightenment. Life and death. Like the mountain sees life as life and death as death, sees life not as life, death not as death. But in the end, after comprehending everything, you see life as life and death still as death. Everyone has fear toward life and death. It was due to this fear that two paths appeared. One was compliance and one was defying. Complying with life and death was the first realm of life and death. However, if it turned into the defying will, it would mean to see life not as life and death not as death. This was the second realm. People used to say see through life and death. But in truth, one can't see through life and death. At most, one can only see life and death clearly. With that defying will, one can disregard life and death and say life is joy and there is no need to be afraid of death. This is a determination to die, but it doesn't mean you have seen through life and death. The third realm of life and death, the truth Wang Lin was searching for, was also not seeing through or surpassing life and death. It was just one line. This line filled Wang Lin's mind, but he couldn't say it. It was as if there was a barrier that prevented him from saying it. In the wind and rain, these words that looked down upon life and death and the unwillingness to submit echoed until the thunder disappeared, the lightning vanished, and the wind and waves calmed down. The night slowly passed and the dawn of the new day arrived. The cries of surviving a life and death ordeal echoed across the ship. Wang Lin looked at them and smiled. He sat at the bow of the ship and looked at the rising sun. He saw the white bird flying in the rising sun, and its cries echoed. On the 11th month at sea, the continent could be seen in the horizon. When they saw the continent, joyous cries came from the boat. Wang Lin said goodbye to the crew he had known for almost a year. He left the merchant ship and arrived on this unfamiliar continent. There were many mortal countries here along with many sects and cultivators he might know from his dream. Among those countries there was one called Ho Fun. Wang Lin calmly walked in this continent across the sea from his homeland. He looked at the unfamiliar mountains, unfamiliar waters, and those unfamiliar faces as he walked. Although he hadn't come here before in his life, his name had spread to many places in the last 10 years, including this continent. Although he was not as famous as he was in his hometown, Wang Lin didn't care. He was a traveler and he continued to travel across the continent. He walked through mountains and rivers and through the cities and countries. In a flash, 3 years passed. It has been 19 years since he left Zhao. Wang Lin's body was not as good as before and was getting tired. He held a cane in his hand, but he could still hold on as he walked. He went to a lot of sections. He saw a lot of immortals. He saw a lot of emperors. His name gradually became known by countless people on this foreign continent. No matter what country, no matter what sect, people all knew that there was an old man named Wang Lin who was the grand scholar of this generation. He was traveling through the world, searching for something. His words became fewer as he got older. Often, he wouldn't need to speak. The wisdom in his eyes would cause people to enter a trance from which they didn't know when they would awaken. On the autumn of the 19th year, Wang Lin arrived in a place filled with volcanoes. When he arrived, a volcano erupted far away. Wang Lin could see the black smoke rising in the sky. A heat wave blew by from the distance and landed on his body. Wang Lin raised his head and looked at the black smoke in the sky. His old eyes revealed a gentle gaze that was never seen before. He saw a white figure walking out of the black smoke. This white figure was a woman, and she looked very beautiful. She seemed to be collecting something from the erupting volcano, and held a jade bottle in her hand. She turned and saw Wang Lin in the distance. This gaze was something Wang Lin could not forget and made his body tremble. It was as if he had waited more than 1,000 years for that gaze. It was as if he had waited for a lifetime just to come here and see her gaze. There is an old saying that describes the beauty of a woman as she turned around and smiled. However, this woman in white didn't smile, so this scene had a different flavor to it. This gaze was very unfamiliar. The woman in white's gaze swept by Wang Lin and didn't have any hint of familiarity, as if she was looking at a stranger. She withdrew her gaze before turning around and flying off into the distance. Wang Lin stared at her, stunned, until he could no longer see her. A glance back to recall the yearning of the past. Wang Lin closed his eyes. After a long time, he let out a sigh. In my entire life, all the people I met had a hint of familiarity. Zhou Rui was like this, Su Fei was like this, Lu Mei was like this. In the 19 years since I left Zhao, all the cultivators I have seen in my dream gave me the same feeling. Only she alone, only she alone. Wang Lin's face became even older. He leaned against a dead tree and opened his eyes. His eyes revealed confusion, but even more apparent was a complicated sense of enlightenment. Wang Lin felt bitter as he walked forward in a daze. He didn't know how far he had walked. He couldn't see the sunrise or sunset. He didn't leave any prints in the country of Ho Fan, but he walked further and further away. Day after day, month after month. The complicated expression in his eyes became even stronger, but he still used the confusion to cover up the truth he had already realized. It wasn't that he didn't want to believe, but he felt like there was still a chance, a lie that he didn't even believe himself. Then, on a certain day or a certain year, a mountain appeared before him. This was a dead volcano. Perhaps at a certain point in the past, it roared and spewed out endless rivers of lava. However, now it was dead. The ground was filled with potholes and black rocks scattered everywhere. An aura of death shrouded this area, and there was no trace of anyone within hundreds of kilometers. Wang Lin stopped under this dead volcano. He stared at the mountain in a daze, and after a long time, the confusion in his eyes collapsed. His entire body trembled and he subconsciously retreated a few steps. This is it. Wang Lin was familiar with this mountain. This was the same mountain that was erupting in the illusion he saw over the sea. The two cracks that were like two entangled dragons were like marks that would exist forever, even in death. It was this that told Wang Lin the identity of this mountain. Looking at the mountain, Wang Lin could no longer deceive himself and cover up what he had long figured out. The image from the sea overlapped with what he was looking at now. The illusion above the sea and the truth before him formed an invisible force that rushed into his body. His mind rumbled and the power of this force swept away more than 50 years of lying to himself. For the first time he was going to face himself in the world. I should have understood back then. But I didn't want to believe. Wang Lin, like you, I also deceived myself, but you forgot that I know deception as well. You lied to yourself, but can you really get away with lying to yourself? Wang Lin pointed at the dead volcano and laughed. His laughter was filled with sadness. She was the only one. She didn't have feelings of familiarity to me. That glance was strange. Wang Lin, if the me today is from the previous life and the me in the next life will be with Li Muwen, then did you want me to come back to cut my karma with Li Muwen? If the me today is a reincarnation, then the me at the end of the cycle is supposed to erase Li Muwen's existence. To let her go so we will become true strangers to each other. If the me today is a dream and the me in my dream as a cultivator is the real life, then does the sleeping me want Li Muwen to forget me in the dream due to his sorrow? Is all of this for the future, the next reincarnation cycle or the awakened world, where she will no longer have to endure the pain of waiting, no longer have to survive as a broken nascent soul, and no longer live the life of a living dead person for more than 2,000 years? To let her be happy before meeting me so she could quietly live out her life? She may have another Dao partner, but there won't be a cultivator named Wang Lin that made her wait. Is this it? Wang Lin laughed. As he laughed, tears flowed down. The more he understood, the more he learned about everything in the world. Seeing through life and death and true and false would normally make one confused, but at this moment, he only felt a heart-wrenching pain. Wang Lin, are you really going to do this? Are you really willing to let her forget herself? Do you really want to let the other you cut off this karma that has accompanied you for more than 2,000 years? Wang Lin's voice was mournful. I have been through a lot in my life and all of it revolved around karma. Karma. Wang Lin, you can't see through it. Even if you cultivate for the rest of your life, even if your cultivation is shocking, even if you are the ruler of the world, you still don't understand what karma is. You devoured 3 Dao fruits and returned to 2,000 years ago with your dream Dao spell. You used your own thoughts along with the complex Dao intent and the power of the dream Dao spell to create this world from your memory. Wang Lin staggered and sat down on a rock. His hair was scattered everywhere as if he had gone crazy. You created this world. Everything here is something you made up. Do you really think I don't know? I can't see through it. Wang Lin's laughter became even more mournful. You made everything very real. You created everything too perfectly. You even learned Lu Jinbiao's deception Dao and fooled yourself into forgetting that all of this was just a dream, that all of this was just the dream Dao spell. But you underestimated me. You underestimated yourself. You are Wang Lin, the Lord of the Sealed Realm. Your cultivation is heaven-defying and you could kill third-step cultivators before reaching third step. You survived the life and death calamity, and are about to enter the void realm of third-step cultivators. But I'm also Wang Lin. Although I didn't cultivate, I have comprehended the world and understand its truth. I don't fear God or ghosts. Even if you are before me, so what? You deceived yourself and immersed yourself in the world you created. You think that by doing this with the power of the 3 Dao fruits, you can create your own world and reincarnation to create these cycles of karma again and again. How can I not understand such a thing? You wanted to meet a great scholar who would give you enlightenment about the world. So Su Dao appeared. You wanted to cut your karma with Lu Mei. So I met her twice and she gifted me the pill. Before your dream Dao, you heard about Red Butterfly, so you brought the matter about her into your dream. You used your dream to complete a cycle of karma. You were aware of Nian Tian and the soul refining sect, so you thought you should complete that karma as well. Do you think I don't know? At the start, I didn't, and I was confused. But the moment I met the madman and saw the glow coming from his right wrist when the fire extinguished, I knew. I deceived myself. I didn't make myself think too much about it. However, more than 50 years have passed and I have lied to myself for more than 50 years. Today, I don't want to deceive myself anymore. You think this is karma. I'll tell you you're wrong, you're completely wrong. I don't care about the others, but you want to cut off the karma with Li Muwen. I refuse to accept this. You think this is for her own good, in order for her to not feel pain and give her a complete life, but all of this is fake. What is true, what is false, you know less than I do. Why don't you understand? Why haven't you awakened? You think you can cut it, but can you cut it? Can you cut it? Wang Lin let out a roar. As he roared, the world rumbled and endless thunder echoed and lightning flashed, covering the sky. It was as if the heavens were angry. The moment the heavens became angry, a giant vortex appeared in the sky. This vortex rotated as if it was going to tear the world apart. An endless void appeared in the vortex. In that endless void there was a wisp of red light. Within the red light lied two bodies lying with their eyes closed. One of them struggled to open his eyes as if Wang Lin's roar had bombarded his soul and showed signs of awakening. You can't cut it. Wang Lin's right hand pointed at the vortex in the sky. His white hair fluttered and a powerful surge of energy shot out toward the sky. Since you can't cut it, then don't interfere with me. Your so-called karma is just a joke in my eyes. Wang Lin waved his sleeves and the thunderous rumbles and the vortex slowly stopped. The vortex became smaller and smaller until it turned into a white that was the white bird. It circled the sky for a long time before it flew far away. Wang Lin had understood everything a long time ago. He was the grand scholar, how could he not understand? What is karma, what is life and death, what is true and false? I came to be because of these three questions. No one understands this more than me. From now on, whether it is the Tao fruits, memories or this false world, don't interfere with me. Looking at the bird flying off into the distance, Wang Lin withdrew his gaze and looked at the dead volcano for a long time. Then he turned around and slowly walked away. On this day, it was June of the 19th year since he left Zhao and the 57th year since he had gotten drunk after just 2 cups of wine at that inn beside the road. This year Wang Lin was just short of 80. Aside from the country of Hofan, there were still some other countries on this continent, but Wang Lin didn't go. The country of Hofan would be the last place he visited. Here in the mountain outside Li Muan's sect, there was a broken house. It was built an unknown amount of time ago and no one lived there anymore. Wang Lin started living here. From this position, he could see the sect Li Muan was in and feel her existence. What is karma? Don't think, don't ponder. Look at the sun rise and fall. See the rain and snowfall. See the seasons alternate. Don't think about whether this is true or false. Don't think about the confusion between life and death. Just silently live the rest of your life. Whether it was sunrise or sunset on the horizon, there was always an old figure sitting on a rock, silently looking into the distant mountain. All karma in life is karmic because as long as you say it is karmic cause, and it is karmic effect as long as you say it is karmic effect. Why bother to find a reason? Wang Lin remained calm as he looked at the mountain ahead year after year. He didn't eat food and there was no food. He had forgotten hunger, he had forgotten everything. Wang Lin looked at the world and revealed an elusive smile. During these years, he saw many cultivators fly out of the sect. Among them was Li Muan. This world, this starry sky, all of these are formed by clusters of karma. This is karmic fate. Wang Lin smiled as the days and years passed like a dream. Time passed and in the blink of an eye, it had been 7 years. During these 7 years, Wang Lin learned a lot and comprehended the world. During these 7 years, Li Muan's sect had naturally found Wang Lin, and the elders of the sect slowly came to see him. They saw Wang Lin's state and heard his occasional muttering. This shocked them. At some point, Wang Lin was no longer the only one on this mountain. Soon, cultivators began to sit around him. None of the cultivators that came left. They calmly sat around Wang Lin as if they were seeking Tao. Year after year, even more cultivators came from Hofan, from all directions, from various sects to this place as if something was calling out to them in their hearts. Among these cultivators, there were some that had not even reached the foundation establishment stage, some were at the soul transformation stage, and there was one who had stepped through the sky and reached the ascendant stage. But no matter what cultivation level they were at, they didn't exist to Wang Lin. No matter what cultivation level, they only had to sit down on a spot in the mountain. There was no more and no less space, so there was no fighting over spots. They all silently sat there and listened to Wang Lin, who may only speak once a year. When Wang Lin didn't speak, they were cultivating. It was as if an invisible force that allowed their minds to pursue the world was present here. All the karmic fate gathers together, and eventually becomes a karmic effect. This is karma. In the decades that I spent comprehending karma, I found that between karmic cause and karmic effect, there was something else that is karmic fate. If there is no karmic fate, there is no karma. Wang Lin had a smile as he opened his mouth this year. Even more cultivators sat on the mountain. Soon there wasn't even any space at the foot of the mountain. The dozens of kilometers around the mountain Wang Lin was on was filled with cultivators. Almost all the cultivators on this continent slowly found their way here from a strange feeling over the years. The area within hundreds of kilometers of the mountain was covered in countless cultivators who were here to worship Wang Lin. Some cultivators crossed the sea from another continent or came through transfer arrays. This included the soul-refining sects Dun Tian, Nian Tian, and a large amount of soul-refining sect disciples. There was also the cultivators of Li Muan's voice contained a tenderness that entered Wang Lin's ears. This caused Wang Lin's heart to feel calm. His old face suddenly seemed a bit younger. He looked at Li Muan and forgot about the passage of time. Wang Lin engraved Li Muan's words from that life in his dream. He could never forget them. The dream life seemed to overlap with the present, and the valley they lived in for many years together appeared. The flowers in the valley blossomed and withered as days and years passed by. Only their figures seemed to become eternal existences. The sound of the zither music was intoxicating and made it so he didn't want to wake up. Wang Lin didn't want to wake up. In the valley, he watched Li Muan's hair turn white. Then she eventually became a pile of bones. That cruel scene ripped his heart apart and caused him to suffer in pain and sorrow. He remembered how he had hugged Li Muan and let out the most miserable cry at the sky. "Even if heaven wants you to die, I will take you back." That voice had always echoed inside Wang Lin's mind. It came from the dream and became Wang Lin's strength. "This dream let me accompany you until the end of days." Li Muan tightly held Wang Lin as if she was afraid he would leave. Tears flowed as she whispered again and again and again. She couldn't tell how many times she had said it. Wang Lin's dried hands rose up and caressed Li Muan's hair. His expression was gentle and he nodded. This woman, even 1,000 years after her death, her figure became even more profound in Wang Lin's heart until she became his everything. Whether it was Lu Mei or Li Qianmei, and all the other beauties he met later were unable to replace her shadow. They weren't able to walk into Wang Lin's heart. Wang Lin knew that his heart had already died on that day, that year, when he held Li Muan's body and let out that roar in grief. The colorful sky seems to be missing a color. I'll spend my life to find her. Wang Lin raised his head and looked at the sky. There seemed to be a white bird circling in the sky. He softly asked himself, "Are you willing to cut it off? Can you cut it off?" On the 31st year after leaving Zhao, Wang Lin and Li Muan were sitting on the rock surrounded by cultivators for thousands of kilometers. Wang Lin held Li Muan with a smile as he comprehended the world with her. Wang Lin's words became fewer and fewer, from one time a year to once in several years. The origin came from the void. This is karma. If you all can understand, you can form Tao. In the 32nd winter after he left Zhao, snow fell from the sky. Wang Lin stood up from the rock, but his body was very weak. He knew that his life was near its end and that there was only one part left. Even if he was unwilling, he was about to die. This dream was very, very realistic. In this dream, he was immortal. Death was an end, the end of the dream, but similarly it was the beginning of everything. Li Muan was still very young. She gently supported Wang Lin and stood with him on the rock. Lu Mei was in the distance. She silently looked at Wang Lin and Li Muan from afar. The confusion in her eyes had become stronger and stronger over the years. In the end, it turned into an unspeakable pain that caused her to lower her head. Wang Lin's voice became even older as he softly said, "Do you still remember where home is?" Tears appeared in Li Muan's eyes and she nodded. "Take me there." Wang Lin stroked Li Muan's hair. His old face revealed his 2,000 years of longing. Li Muan bit her lower lip and held Wang Lin as she flew into the sky. They flew off into the distance under the gazes of all the surrounding cultivators. They disappeared over the horizon, disappeared from everyone's gazes. It was as if they had never been here, had never come to this place. The wind blew by Wang Lin and caused his white hair to flutter. His hair flew into Li Muan's face and entangled with her black hair. The intersecting of black and white seemed like they didn't want to separate. Li Muan's gaze was gentle. As she moved forward, she looked at Wang Lin with a loving and warm gaze. Wang Lin looked at the earth below him flash by as the wind blew by. He saw the volcanoes, the plains, the jungles, the cities, and the mortals that now looked like black dots. An unknown amount of time passed before the earth below turned green and an endless mountain range appeared. There was a valley hidden within the mountains. That valley was his second home aside from the country of Zhao in his dream. This was his home with her. The ray of light landed on the ground, causing the countless blades of grass and trees to rattle. Soon they all calmed down. Li Muan appeared holding Wang Lin, and they soon arrived at the valley. The valley was empty and weeds were everywhere. There were a few wild flowers giving off some aromas. "We are home." Wang Lin entered a trance as he looked at the valley. A sense of yearning and sadness came from his soul. As he looked around, he felt a sense of sorrow, and then his gaze fell on Li Muwen. Li Muwen also looked around. After a long time, she revealed a happy smile. "Wang Lin, let us not think about how this is a dream. Let us live here, okay?" "Okay." Time slowly passed. The weeds in the valley all disappeared and a simple, wooden house appeared in the valley. Day after day, the beautiful zither music would echo inside the valley. Wang Lin stood there with a stick in his hand as the zither music played. His appearance was even older, and there were many wrinkles on his face. There were also brown spots all over his skin. These were an old man's spots. Each spot was like the rings of a tree. They were the imprints of time. He still wore that white robe and listened to Li Muwen's zither music with a smile. He looked at the woman, who had both her hands on the zither. The woman's face was no longer as young as when they first came here. Just like him, she had become an old woman. Li Muwen had used a spell to make herself look older. She didn't want Wang Lin to become old while she remained young. She wanted to be like him, like a mortal. They would count each other's white hairs as they spent the rest of their lives together. How could Wang Lin not know her intent? He didn't stop her. He just gently looked at his wife. His wife. They didn't care about each other's ages or appearance. What they cared about were the souls in their eyes. They didn't care about the passage of time or about the barrier of yin and yang. All they cared about was that moment of longing. This was how they felt. As the sun set in the valley and the zither music echoed, the two old people silently looked at each other. The old man's smile was the old lady's smile. He looked at her, she played the zither. It was as if there was nothing in this world aside from each other. Forget the world falling apart. Forget the sun and moon alternating. Forget the sky changing colors. For these two old lovers, those things were all insignificant. 1 year. That white bird never appeared again. It was as if it had left the dream. Under each other's gazes and the sound of the zither, Wang Lin and Li Muwen experienced the revival of life in spring, the willow leaves fluttering across the sky in the summer, and the autumn leaves rolling by. They watched the rain and snow together as they went through winters that weren't cold one after another. This year was the 35th year since Wang Lin left Zhao. This year, Wang Lin felt the call of death. He understood that one day, when he closes his eyes, he might never open them again. He would leave this dream world. This day was getting closer and closer. The yellow leaves flew across the sky in the autumn of this year. They slowly rolled along the ground, but one leaf was blocked by Wang Lin's body. Wang Lin leaned down and struggled to grab the leaf with his hand covered in old man spots. The fallen leaf returns to its roots. "Whene'er I have to go, send me on one last trip. Accompany me to Zhao, and with big fortune we will go to the city of Su and complete the last thing in this dream. The last meeting with myself. Back then he didn't come. This time he will definitely come." Li Muwen had a head of white hair as she supported Wang Lin out of their home with reluctance and attachment in her eyes. They flew off into the distance as a ray of light toward the continent across the sea where Zhao was. This place was a dream, but also not a dream. It was formed by Wang Lin's Dao spell with the help of the Dao fruits. The time inside the dream was the same as the time outside. Outside the dream was the Cultivation Alliance, the 4 major star systems, the final battle between the inner and outer realms. During these several dozen years, the inner and outer realms were fighting like water and fire. The outer realm had spread the news that the Lord of the Sealed Realm was dead, and used their full power to invade the inner realm. The barrier Qinglin had created by borrowing the power of the ancient celestial realm had collapsed more than 30 years ago. Countless outer realm cultivators rushed in and the battle raged again and again. Both sides suffered heavy losses and blood filled the sky. The smell of blood was unimaginably thick, and the 4 major star systems had become hell. As life became more and more cruel, the third step cultivators of the inner realm gave up the summoned river and cloud sea. They condensed their forces into all heaven and the brilliant void for their final struggle. As the situation became even more desperate, the rumor that the Lord of the Sealed Realm had died took root. Even though Qing Shui had turned into Wang Lin, Qing Shui had been seriously injured by Heaven Master Void God, and almost died more than 10 years ago. As a result, the news of the Lord of the Sealed Realm could no longer be stopped. It gave the Inner Realm cultivators an unrecoverable blow. 1 month ago, the Brilliant Void faced a difficult choice. Should they give up and head to All Heaven for the last battle, or stay at the Lord of the Sealed Realm's hometown? Stay at planet Suzaku and fight to the death? This was the fall of the 35th year since Wang Lin left Zhao. In Hofun, as the autumn wind blew across the sea to Zhao, it was already winter. The entire country of Zhao was covered in snow like a white jade was placed over it. Only the 2 lines created by the carriage passing by could be seen. The sound of the carriage creaking slowly went into the distance. Along the path you could see an inn. This inn was covered by dense white snow. It was bleak and no one was inside. More than half the inn had collapsed more than 10 years ago, injuring a lot of the people staying there. The owner had gotten in trouble with the officials and died in prison. As for the waiter, he had left. It was unknown where he was or if he was still alive. Over time, the inn that once made the Grand Scholar of Zhao drunk became a ruin. The carriage stopped for a moment before the inn. The curtain of the carriage was raised up and a burst of heat spread out. In this cold weather, the heat didn't scatter far before it dissipated. An old man wearing white looked at the abandoned inn covered in white snow. His eyes were filled with reminiscence as he watched. After a long time, he let out a sigh and put down the curtain. "One air, there was an inn here before and I woke up here." An old voice came from the carriage as it slowly went off into the distance. As the carriage went further away, the voice from the carriage became weaker until the snow covered up everything. Only the cold wind continued to blow as if it would never get tired. An old man's time was short. They could count their own end as they silently looked at the blue sky and white clouds and the snow falling. At the same time, an old man's time was infinite. What was infinite was their memory. They could forget their death in their memories. The speed of the carriage was not fast, and it bounced as it moved along the road toward the small village below the Hongyu mountain. It was dusk of the second day, but the snow continued to fall without any sign of stopping. The snow sealed the earth as the lone carriage slowly moved closer to the mountain village. It wasn't until night came that the mountain village appeared before their eyes. The mountain village in the snow was very quiet. Even the big, astute dogs were all hiding in their houses. Even though they heard the creaking of the carriage, they were unwilling to raise their heads to bark. Every household was sitting beside their burning stove. In the cold night they would sit by the fire together with their families, warming their bodies and souls. The warmth of the body and soul allowed the mortals of this world to survive the cold winter again and again. Among the many houses in the village, there was a house where there were 2 large dogs curled around each other in the yard for warmth. Everywhere else was covered in white snow. There was a faint light coming from the fire inside the house that came through the withered, yellow window paper and scattered into the yard. The light landed on the snow, making it look like a tired sunset. It was struggling and was slowly lowering its head before it disappeared. In the fire, one could see a bent figure behind the window paper. The shrunken figure held a thin fire rod and was poking the fire, trying to make it burn brighter. It was an old man that was covered in so many wrinkles that even his eyes couldn't be fully opened anymore. He sat there staring at the fire, and after a long time, he tightened his cotton coat. Then he looked at his right wrist. He was Big Fortune. It has been many years. He should be back soon. Big Fortune looked at this right wrist, where there was a golden palm print faintly glowing. He gently stroked his wrist and recalled the past. He had waited here for 35 years. He still remembered the day Wang Lin had told him to wait for him here until he comes back. He said that there will not be a second 38th year, so he should be back soon. Big Fortune looked tired and stood up with the help of the stick. Just as he was about to go rest, the 2 big dogs that were too lazy to move began to whimper. The sound of a carriage crushing the snow faintly came from the distance until it stopped outside the courtyard. The door to the carriage opened and Wang Lin walked out facing the wind and snow. Behind him, Li Muan, who had become an old woman, walked out with a gentle smile. She stood with Wang Lin and looked at the yard and the gentle light coming from the yard. With a creak, the door to the house was pushed open from the inside. Big Fortune stood there, stunned, looking outside the yard. He saw Wang Lin through the blizzard and grinned. "I'm back." Wang Lin looked at Big Fortune, who was just as old, and smiled. The blizzard became even stronger. However, inside the house in the snow, the fire became even brighter. In this house, the master and servant who had been apart for 35 years reunited again. Tonight, the howling wind was very cold. However, the three people inside the house didn't feel cold and instead felt warmth. Only in the early morning did the snow become sparse and fall more sporadically. The sunlight landed on the snow, and although it didn't melt the snow, it made one feel more refreshed. When the sunlight fell on the ground, the light reflected off the snow and made it difficult to keep one's eyes open. In the morning, Wang Lin brought Li Muwen and Big Fortune to his parents' grave next to the village. Kneeling before the grave, Li Muwen also knelt down beside him. The two remained silent before the grave for a very long time. "Father, mother, her name is Li Muwen. She is your daughter-in-law. I brought her here to see you." Wang Lin didn't cry. He pulled Li Muwen's hand as they bowed toward the grave. Several days later, during a blizzard, the carriage left the mountain village and headed toward the city of Su. On the carriage, Wang Lin lifted the curtain and looked at his home covered in snow. In his eyes, he saw himself from 73 years ago when he left home carrying the bamboo backpack under his parents' gentle gazes. Every few steps, he would look back until he could no longer see his parents' figures. Finally, he stopped turning back and stepped toward the future. At that time, he was still ignorant. He didn't know where his path was. He only knew that he had to allow his parents to live a good life, to make his relatives to look up at his family. As he looked back from the carriage, everything became a blur in the snow. He let out a sigh and put down the curtain. The carriage went further away. In the spring of the 74th year, the carriage arrived in the city of Su. In the spring, everything revived in the city of Su. After the snow melted, the aroma of the grass and flowers entered one's heart and was unforgettable. Wang Lin was very familiar with this fragrance. Just like when he first came to the city of Su, he rented a boat and bought osmanthus wine. He sat on the boat with Li Muwen as he drank wine, watched the sunset and sunrise, and experienced life. Big Fortune was the same as before. He sat on the side as he looked at Wang Lin with a happy smile. "This is a meeting. He will definitely come." Wang Lin held up the wine jug. He had already entered his twilight years. There were even more old man spots on his hand, and they had become even darker. He brought the wine jug closer to his mouth and drank a mouthful. The zither music echoed. It was Li Muwen playing the zither. Days passed day by day. Several months later, the spring of Su passed and now it was June of another year. This was June of the 75th year. The willow leaves flew again as Wang Lin sat on the bow of the ship and drank osmanthus wine. The world is an inn for all living things. Time is a guest of the ages. The difference between life and death is like being awakened from a dream. Wang Lin laughed as the boat floated down the river. There was a stone bridge before him, but there was no one on the stone bridge. However, there was a white bird flying above the bridge. This white bird hadn't appeared in a very long time. Now that it appeared, it circled around the stone bridge. The streets around the bridge became blurry. It was as if everything in this world had become a blur at this moment. Only the stone bridge and the boat were extremely clear. As the boat closed in, Wang Lin's eyes revealed the brightest glow in these 70+ years. He stood up and looked at the stone bridge. Wang Lin murmured, "He came." Just at this moment, the white bird closed in and landed on the stone bridge. A white light spread out from the bird. From afar it looked like a white vortex. Inside the vortex a person slowly walked out. This was a young man who had a head of white hair. His cold eyes contained confusion as he looked at his surroundings in a daze. When the boat closed in, the young man's eyes suddenly looked at the boat and at Wang Lin on the boat. When their gazes connected, the world became a blur. At this instant, time seemed to stop. To be more accurate, the time in this world did stop. Li Muwen's hands froze above the zither and the music stopped. Big Fortune was sitting on the side, looking at his right wrist. The river stopped moving and the willow leaves all froze in the sky. Everything in this world stopped completely at this moment. Only the young man on the stone bridge and Wang Lin on the boat remained the same as before. "Why don't you come over and drink with yourself?" Wang Lin smiled and sat on the side. The white-haired young man on the stone bridge silently pondered for a moment before he jumped onto the bow. He sat down and picked up a jug of wine. After taking a drink, He didn't look at his older self but at Li Muwen, who had been an old woman for a long time. "Why did you bring her here?" The young man in white drank another mouthful of wine and closed his eyes. "She is here. If you can cut it off, then cut it." Wang Lin picked up the wine jug and slowly took a drink. The white-haired young man silently pondered until he drank the entire jug of wine. "Are you blaming me?" "You are me, I am you. Blaming you is the same as blaming myself." Wang Lin calmly smiled. The young man in white softly said, "I'm still asleep. I used the Tao of deception to create this world. I have no control. This is all deduction from using the complex Tao intent from the 3 Tao fruits." Wang Lin didn't speak. The two of them, or one person, sat on this boat and drank wine while the world was frozen. Time didn't pass. The willow leaves still remained motionless in the air, but the two of them had drunk too much wine. After a long time, the young man in white softly said, "How is this life? Why do you ask me? How I feel is how you feel." Wang Lin placed down the wine jug. "Are you ready?" The young man in white let out a sigh and looked at Li Muwen. His eyes became blurry. "You can go." Wang Lin looked back at Li Muwen with eyes filled with reluctance. No matter how much he didn't want to leave, he knew he was going to be gone. This dream was about to end. There were many things waiting to be done. There were many people waiting for him. "Wait for me, Wan Er. I'll wake you up." The eyes of the young man in white were also filled with reluctance. He silently stood up and walked over to Li Muwen. He knelt down and kissed her forehead before hiding away his reluctance while sadness filled his body. He suddenly turned around and reached toward the sky. A jug of wine appeared in his hand. He gently placed it down. The white-haired young man let out a sigh and stepped forward. His figure turned into a white bird and gradually disappeared. Although he had left, everything in this world remained frozen without any change. Only the jug of wine remained, as if it was waiting for someone to pick it up and drink it to end everything. Wang Lin silently pondered. Time didn't pass, but he pondered for a long time. Wang Lin arrived next to Li Muwen and sat beside her. He placed his hands over the zither, closed his eyes, and began to slowly play it. The zither released no sound, but music filled Wang Lin's heart. Bursts of sorrow appeared in his heart. A song in a dream has to end. An unforgettable cry of yearning. That year, we met in the country of Hofen outside the Sea of Devils. A hunt, a black voice called out, and I looked down. Years went by, cycles went by, we were 2 specks of dust in 2 corners of this dream. After how many years did we finally meet only to pass by each other in a daze? When we finally met, it was the moment before the dream ended. Even if I'm reluctant. Wang Lin opened his old eyes at the end of the song. His right hand trembled as he picked up the wine jug and looked at Li Muwen. This gaze was like the end of time. This gaze was waking up from a dream. Wang Lin held the wine jug and held it up to his mouth. He looked at the heavens and earth, at the world he had lived in for more than 70 years, and then drank the entire jug of wine. This wine was like water. It wasn't spicy, but it was like fire. When it entered his stomach, it burned. What is karma? When I open my palm, it is karmic cause, and when I close my palm, it is karmic effect. The world rumbled. The boat Wang Lin was on disappeared. Along with it went the river, the stone bridge, the countless boats on the river, and the endless willow leaves in the sky. An invisible ripple spread in all directions with Wang Lin as the center. All the buildings in the city of Su disappeared in a flash. Not only Su, but the entire country of Zhao, the mountains, rivers, sects, villages, and everything disappeared in a flash. The country of Zhao, outside of Zhao, the soul refining sect, Shuiyu, other countries, everything in the world collapsed. There was also the endless sea, the raging sea, the other side of the sea, the other continent, Li Muwen's hometown. They all disappeared. There was also the country of Hofan, the country of Xianwu, the Sea of Devils, and Wang Lin and Li Muwen's home. They all collapsed into ashes. Everything in this world scattered, leaving behind all the mortals and cultivators doing various things. They didn't disappear, they calmly remained across the world. Just like Li Muwen and Big Fortune beside Wang Lin. What is life and death? My left hand is life and my right hand is death. 2 streams of tears flowed down from Wang Lin's eyes. After he spoke, thunder rumbled and lightning filled the sky above planet Suzaku. The moment he spoke, Li Muan, who was the closest to him, seemed to be hit by a gust of wind and turned to ashes. Not just her, but the countless mortals remaining in the city of Su after it disappeared all turned to ashes. In the entire country of Zhao, all those figures that Wang Lin was familiar with or unfamiliar with disappeared. Lu Mei was originally standing at the top of a mountain. After the mountain disappeared, she seemed to be floating there. The wind blew by and her figure became blurry before she disappeared with the wind. Su Fei and Zhou Rui were originally flying in the air. At this moment, time stopped and the wind blew by. Their bodies turned into ashes and were taken away by the wind. Wang Zhou was wearing a black robe as he stood on top of the Hengyu mountain. The wind blew by and his body collapsed. There was also Hong Long, the Tang family ancestor, and the countless cultivators of Zhao. Even outside Zhao there was Zhou Wutai, who looking at a young man before him. It was his disciple. Looking at his disciple, Zhou Wutai disappeared along with his disciple when the wind blew by. There was also Yun Keizi, the soul refining sects Dun Tian and Yen Tian and Zhu Keizi. Whether it was this continent or the one across the sea, everyone disappeared without a trace. At this moment this world had no earth or life left. Only the sky remained. The only ones that hadn't disappeared were Wang Lin, who was crying, and Big Fortune. In this world they were the only ones left. When Li Muan disappeared, Wang Lin's tears silently fell into the endless void. The thunder and lightning in the sky formed a giant vortex. Inside the vortex, inside the dark red blood light, sat the white-haired young man. His eyes were closed and tears were flowing out. He didn't want to give up. But the dream would eventually come to an end and he would awaken. That moment would come sooner or later. After completing the meeting with himself and drinking that jug of wine, the dream shattered. What is true and false? When I, Wang Lin, open my eyes, it is true. When I close my eyes, it is false. As he said this, Wang Lin grabbed Big Fortune's right hand and his hand overlapped with the golden imprint on Big Fortune's wrist. He slowly closed his old eyes. The moment he closed his eyes, various scenes appeared before him. These scenes made him unwilling to give up, but in the end they still dissipated one by one. If he wanted to find them, he could only look in his memories. In the scenes, he saw himself and Li Muan sitting on the boat along with Big Fortune. He saw a carriage going through the snow toward his mountain village hometown. He saw himself and Li Muan in their home in the valley. Zither music was playing and it was a happy tune. Their locked gazes seemed to last an eternity. When one looked back, it was impossible to see clearly. He saw himself sitting on the rock on the mountain comprehending the heavens. The surrounding cultivators within thousands of kilometers worshipped him. Among these cultivators he saw Lu Mei's tears. He saw himself pointing at the sky and roaring near the dead volcano. He could endure anything. He could use anything to deceive himself. But he could not deceive himself to cut his karma with Li Muan. He pointed at the sky, at the white bird, as he questioned himself. Could you cut it off? Can you cut it off? You can't cut it off. Among the endless wind and waves in the sea, he saw a merchant ship struggling. He saw everyone on the ship singing an ancient sailor song. He saw the defying will against death. He saw a woman holding a baby in the rain outside a pavilion. She was so cold that it was enough to turn the rain to ice. He saw the confusion in Lu Mei's eyes at the edge of Zhao and the pill she left with a smile. He saw his father close his eyes in his arms. He saw the autumn leaf flying away with his soul, going further and further away. He saw his mother's eyes never open again and a smile appear on the corner of her mouth as if she had met his father. He saw himself glaring at the cultivator that had come to kill him, the city of Su. He frightened the cultivator to leave with just one line. He saw Su Dao and saw him being buried. He saw the year when he and Big Fortune first arrived in the city of Su, when the willow leaves were flying through the air. They rented a boat and waited for the meeting with himself. In the end, he saw an inn beside the official road. On the table inside the inn lied a drunken young man. The waiter stood beside the young man with a frown and started to push the young man. Little brother, wake up. This is really a scholar. Just 2 cups and already so drunk. I have to clean up. Hurry up and wake up. He saw the drunken young man raise his head and speak one line with a giggle. Let me tell you, I had a dream. I dreamt I was an immortal. All the images became blurry fragments when he said the word immortal. Wang Lin's eyes closed completely. The moment he closed his eyes, the sky collapsed. Everything in the dream dissipated. The dream ended. In the dark void that old ghost John said was the cave wall layer, there was a white-haired young man lying in blood-colored light. His eyes opened. Fate comes from the void and the void must exist. I understand. In the dark void, the blood light continued to flash for decades. However, the blood light became even more faint, as if it would disappear soon. Even if time passed, no one would notice it. No one knew where the time here came from or went. Aside from silence, there was more silence. It wasn't until this day that the white-haired young man opened his eyes. The moment he opened his eyes, a thunderous rumble boomed in this void. This thunder wasn't strong at first, but soon it reached a peak and could shake the world. The thunderous rumble seemed like it was going to rip open the dark void and rush out of here. The thunder instantly became violent and echoed across the void. The thunder was like a wave, and it created countless silver snakes that lit up the void. These endless silver snakes looked like a giant net and shrouded the entire void. The rumbling and thunder and flashing lightning seemed to be waiting for their king to appear. The thunder roared in excitement. It was excited because their king had finally awakened. The bolts of lightning rumbled as they flickered. They were also welcoming their king. A firestorm appeared within the thunderstorm. This fire was 9-colored and rotated in the void, burning menacingly. The 9-colored fire rotated, and then the 9 colors suddenly turned into one. The fire was monstrous and spread with the white-haired young man as the center. It burned brightly and seemed to be competing with the thunder and lightning above. The fire surged as if it were welcoming its king. The king of thunder and lightning and of the monstrous fire was the white-haired young man. It was Wang Lin. Wang Lin had fire in his left eye and thunder in his right eye. His eyes were filled with enlightenment, but there was also hidden sorrow from awakening from the dream. This dream had lasted for more than 70 years. These more 70 years could not be considered a dream but his other life, even if this was a life he had made up. He had used the Tao of deception to deceive himself. The moment he woke up, there was a hint of confusion in his eyes. His left hand was holding the madman's right wrist and left a golden palm print. After a long time, as the thunder and fire raged, the confusion in Wang Lin's eyes was removed by force. It was replaced with coldness and determination along with the endless killing intent after he remembered everything that had happened. Sovereign, Heaven Master Void God, and those imperial celestial concubines, I, Wang Lin, have awakened. Wang Lin's eyes were filled with endless coldness. He slowly got up and looked at the void outside the bloodlight. I have cultivated for more than 2,000 years. Today, I'll make the void gate and become a third-step cultivator. Wang Lin pointed ahead. Thunder essence. The heavenly thunder entangled with the endless lightning. In the blink of an eye, all the thunder and lightning gathered to form a bolt of eternal thunder. It floated outside the bloodlight, and at the same time, the thunder mark in Wang Lin's right eye rushed out. It fused with the eternal thunder outside the bloodlight. It formed an eternal heavenly thunder print. This was a thunder print. The 9 accompanying thunders rotated 9 times around it before they fused with it to form a bolt of thunder essence. The moment the thunder essence formed, the void was about to collapse. The power from the thunder print was enough to shatter the world. Even the void trembled and ripples spread out, causing the surrounding area to become distorted and unreal. A terrifying aura came from the thunder. This aura was extremely powerful enough to cause the sky to change colors. This was thunder, the invincible eternal thunder. A person who could control this thunder was considered a thunder celestial. The pressure of a third-step cultivator came from the thunder print and surround the area. Just the power from this thunder was enough to shake early-stage nirvana void cultivators. After this thunder fused with the accompanying thunders, it turned into a chaotic form. It no longer looked like a bolt of thunder but a chaotic mass. And chaotic mass of essence from the beginning of the world that would become thunder essence. This mass had no color. It surrounded the bloodlight and slowly rotated around Wang Lin. Wang Lin's right hand pointed out once more. Fire essence. Wang Lin's voice was filled with coldness. As he roared, the endless fire surged. The 9 colors fused into one to turn into ethereal fire. However, as the ethereal fire burned, Dao intent appeared within. This fire had suppressed ethereal fire and become Dao fire. As the fire raged, the aura of a complete fire essence erupted. All the fire in the void gathered like crazy and formed a fire tattoo formed by countless fire seeds and appeared before Wang Lin. The fire tattoo looked real, but it was actually an illusion, a complete blur. It was as there were countless auras surrounding it, making it look distorted, but the heat radiating from it was hot enough to burn early-stage nirvana void cultivators. Thunder and fire had reached completion. Just these two essences were enough for Wang Lin to blow open the void gate and instantly kill any cultivator that hadn't reached the peak of nirvana void. Karma appear. The coldness in Wang Lin's eyes dissipated and was replaced with reminiscence. The aura of a grand scholar, some he had never released outside his dream, spread out. This aura was not something a cultivator could have. Not even grand scholars who became cultivators could keep this aura. On the path of cultivation, in the world where the weak were food to the strong, they had all changed. They had forgotten what it was like to comprehend the world. Only by using the dream Tao was Wang Lin able to save the aura, a grand scholar, after waking up. The moment he spoke those words, that aura erupted. The karma essence was invisible, but it gathered in Wang Lin's right hand. When his palm opened, it was karmic cause, and when his palm closed, it was karmic effect. This right palm would become his fourth original spell. Karma print. Karma print. With Wang Lin's open hand as the heaven's karmic cause and closing his palm as the heaven's karmic effect, the process would be karmic fate. The power of the external karmic fate would form the karma print. Although Wang Lin had just comprehended this, its power was extremely shocking. In this world, no one understood karma more than him. That mysterious way of thinking, more than 70 years of dreaming, more than 2,000 years of experience, and many other things allowed him to comprehend this shocking fourth spell when he awakened. The moment this print appeared, it would be powerful enough to knock someone into the cycle of karma. It was not like the dream Tao that slowly changed them. Instead, it would set their karma by force in an extremely dominating fashion. This was a Tao spell. Wang Lin looked at his right hand. As his right hand opened, the power of a grand scholar spread from his body. This aura could terrify ghosts and gods, and it was enough to force back nirvana void cultivators. With this aura, Wang Lin had comprehended the truth of the world. He was the world. With a wave of his right hand, Wang Lin's eyes revealed a strange light. He gathered the karmic power before him and formed the karma print. This print was not only Wang Lin's fourth original spell, but a sign that his karma essence was complete. The karma print intersected with his thunder and fire essences, forming a ring. The aura of a third-step cultivator suddenly erupted several-fold. 3 essences were complete. Even if a peak nirvana void cultivator were here, they would find it difficult to block a full power attack from Wang Lin. Although essences were difficult to complete, once they are complete, they become very powerful. The moment the 3 essences formed, a muffled rumble echoed as if it came from outside the void. Brilliant void outside planet Suzaku. Tens of thousands of cultivators had formed a blockade around the planet. These cultivators were all from the outer realm. They all had a marks between their eyebrows and their faces were filled with cruelty and killing intent. There was also a sense of excitement among them. They surrounded the last power of the brilliant void with Master Southcloud taking the lead. They were going to battle to the death. Master Southcloud originally didn't want to stay here. However, the cultivators of the brilliant void had already become exhausted during these decades of struggle. Their eyes were blood-red from the killing, and they didn't want to evacuate to All Heaven. In their view, even if they went to All Heaven, it was all pointless. When the Outer Realm army slaughtered their way to All Heaven, where could they retreat to? If they were going to die, they were going to die in their hometown. If they were going to fight to the death, then they would fight to the death at the Lord of the Sealed Realm's hometown planet Suzaku. The statue of the Lord of the Sealed Realm stood like a mountain. The cultivators of the brilliant void let out smiles as if they had forgotten about death. Zitu Nan was here as well. He should have gone to All Heaven with Qing Lin, but he rushed back. This was planet Suzaku. This was his brother's hometown. This was where Wang Lin had gone missing. He, Zitu Nan, was not willing to leave alone. So what if I die? Zitu Nan smiled and his pale hair fluttered as he charged into the outer realm cultivators in his purple robe. Over the years, under Qinglin's careful teaching and his amazing talent, he had broken open the Void Gate with Qinglin's help and became a third-step cultivator 30 years ago, along with Situnan 13 Big Head and the others stayed as well. Although their cultivation levels weren't high enough, they had grown more powerful after many battles. Although they were covered in injuries, they gave off monstrous killing intent. Among them were also Master Long Pan and Master Lu Fu. After Master Long Pan awakened, he had a profound memory of Wang Lin and knew that he was the Lord of the Sealed Realm. He knew that planet Suzaku was Wang Lin's hometown and that Wang Lin had gone missing here. He didn't have to come, but Master Long Pan still came. He didn't bring his disciple Xianxia along. He used his power equal to that of an arcane void cultivator, and used the river and mountain painting to prevent the outer realm cultivators from breaking planet Suzaku. Master Lu Fu also didn't return back to All Heaven, even though he was the ancestor of All Heaven. However, over the past few decades, he had witnessed countless deaths and seen far too much. He was deeply moved by Wang Lin, so he silently stayed to fight. This old man will battle to the death. Master Lu Fu's eyes were filled with madness. There was another person. This was someone that Wang Lin was familiar with. He was the Azure Dragon Divine Emperor. He hadn't died, and he appeared a few decades ago with the Four Divine Sect, becoming a force for the Brilliant Void. Today, he brought many elders of the Four Divine Sect, and was going to fight to the death against the Outer Realm cultivators at planet Suzaku. The Azure Dragon Divine Emperor had disappeared with the Four Divine Sect. Then, a few decades ago, he suddenly reappeared with the Four Divine Sect, and began a life-and-death battle against the Outer Realm. His cultivation level was already very high in the past. Over the years, although he hadn't reached the third step, he had reached the peak of the fifth heaven's blight. Including these people, there were less than 8,000 cultivators protecting planet Suzaku against tens of thousands of Outer Realm cultivators. However, these 8,000 cultivators had lasted for several months. Rumbles continued to echo across the stars, and the area around planet Suzaku was filled with the smell of blood. The army of tens of thousands of cultivators closed in. Among them were only 3 third-step cultivators. One of them was a young man in green with a cold expression. Every time he attacked, ice filled the area. If Wang Lin were here, he would recognize him as one of the people that had attacked him. There was another person, the Heavenly Wolf Clan Xian. After Wang Lin disappeared, he returned to the Outer Realm. He then brought his Heavenly Wolf Clan into the Inner Realm and started a bloodbath, as if he was trying to wash away the shame of being Wang Lin's slave. Among the two of them, Xian had the lowest cultivation level. He and Master Lu Fu battled on the left side of planet Suzaku. Countless spells collided, and from afar, one could see a giant blood wolf trying to devour Master Lu Fu but failing. The young man in green that had comprehended the ice essence had an extremely high cultivation level. He was here with his original body, which was at the mid-stage of Arcane Void. By himself, he was forcing Master Long Pan and Situnan back. This was the last battle in the Brilliant Void. The entire Brilliant Void had fallen. Aside from this place, only planet Suzaku remained. At this moment, this war was reaching its end. As the tens of thousands of cultivators pushed in, the thousands of Inner Realm cultivators were being pushed back. They were filled with despair. Glory to the Lord of the Sealed Realm, glory to the Brilliant Void! A middle-aged cultivator roared while being pierced by several flying swords. He chose to blow himself up and kill 2 Outer Realm cultivators with him. Glory to the Lord of the Sealed Realm, glory to the Brilliant Void! Even more people roared the same thing in despair. The voices overlapped and fused together. They were the last cries of these people's lives. The Lord of the Sealed Realm has already been killed by us. What glory is there to a dead person? The young man in green coldly said. He waved his hand and ice rumbled, freezing a large area and forcing Master Long Pan and Situnan back. After hearing Lord of the Sealed Realm, a hint of humiliation arose in Zhou Jin's eyes. There was a flash of coldness in his eyes and his killing intent increased. The surrounding tens of thousands of Outer Realm cultivators let out a roar in unison. They closed in with a fierce aura around them. Just at this moment, a rumble came from above this battleground of slaughter. At first, this rumble seemed to come from the distance, but soon it echoed in everyone's minds. This sound felt ancient. and the aura to cause the expressions of everyone here to change. An illusory gate that occupied the entire star domain appeared. This gate was indescribably large, so much so that cultivators were like ants before it. The Great Void Gate. This is the Void Gate. The expression of the retreating Situ Nan changed greatly. His eyes were filled with shock. Could it be that one of the outer realm cultivators' essence has reached completion? This. Master Longpan's pupils shrank and there was worry in his eyes. Master Lu Fu was also startled and quickly retreated. He looked at the giant void gate and despair appeared in his eyes. Could it really be that easy for outer realm cultivators to enter the third step, for their essence to reach completion in this battlefield? Zhou Jin was also shocked. His expression changed greatly as he stared at the void gate. That familiar aura almost made him lose his wits. This aura. This is... He was Wang Lin's slave and had Wang Lin's seal on him, so he was more sensitive to this aura than anyone here. That green-robed young man narrowed his eyes the moment the void gate appeared. I want to see who among these inner realm cultivators has completed their essence. I want that person to die immediately after reaching the third step. If these third step cultivators were like this, then there's no need to talk about the other cultivators. They all stared at the void gate with shocked expressions. They couldn't imagine how someone could trigger the void gate in a situation like this. Whether it was in the inner or outer realm, the appearance of the void gate was like a holy event. It meant that someone might become a third step cultivator. Who is it? Who triggered the void gate at this time? This matter is simply unimaginable. This is actually. This old man has encountered countless battles, but I've never encountered something like this. This is a bit too unbelievable. A rumble echoed. The appearance of the void gate caused the battle to pause for a moment. Both inner and outer realm cultivators looked at each other, wondering who had triggered the void gate. However, in the end they didn't find anything. As the rumbles continued, the powerful aura from the void gate didn't stop. It continued to pour out, forming an incredibly powerful pressure. This pressure was extremely powerful. As it spread, it pushed away the cultivators in the battlefield below. Zhou Jin's expression changed once more, and he instantly turned pale. The pressure coming from the void gate was beyond his imagination. Under his pressure, he anxiously retreated and his mind trembled. Such powerful void gate pressure. How many essences is this? This void gate is far more powerful than mine. The man in green was also shocked. His eyes became cold and he didn't retreat under the pressure. Instead, he raised his head and stared at the void gate that was becoming even more solid. Soon the void gate formed completely and covered the area. It gave off a bright glow that lit up the darkness of space. The pressure the light gave off was like the heavens' might. This gave the surrounding cultivators an impulse to kneel. They all trembled, and some lower-level cultivators who were lacking directly knelt down. A bolt of thunder rumbled. Endless thunder surrounded the void gate and rumbled endlessly. This caused the surrounding space to tremble. Thunder essence. The green-robed young man's eyes lit up. Just as he spoke, he saw a sea of fire burn and surround the giant void gate. It was fighting against the thunder for the spotlight. Fire essence. The young man's expression became gloomy. The moment the fire appeared, an unknown force appeared outside the void gate. This power had the ability to suck one's mind in. It formed a vague mark. This mark looked like a rune, but no one could see it clearly. This was the karma print. Not being able to see it clearly was normal. If you could see it clearly, that meant you would be sucked inside and would likely die. This is the Grand Karma Tao. 3 essences. It is actually 3 essences. To trigger the void gate with 3 essences, this had never happened before. Who is this? The expression of the green-robed young man changed greatly. Master Southcloud was similarly shocked. Master Southcloud's cultivation level was very high, and when he felt the 3 essences from the void gate, his expression changed greatly. His mind trembled and his gaze locked onto the void gate. It really is a 3rd essence. In this wide world, there is someone who can resist the temptation of reaching the 3rd step and have the fortune and comprehension to complete 3 essences. Once they break open the void gate, even if they are only at the nirvana void stage, they will be able to kill spirit void cultivators. Situ Nan, Master Longpan, and Master Lu Fu were all shocked. The void gate that suddenly appeared had shocked them twice in a row. They didn't know if this was a blessing or a disaster. This is similar. How is it so similar to my brother? Situ Nan's eyes hid his excitement and expectations. A speculation formed in his heart, causing his heart to beat faster and his excitement to reach a limit. Wang Lin, who was inside the void, didn't know any of this. The rumble he heard from the distance was caused by the void gate that had appeared outside. Life and death essence. Wang Lin sat down in the lotus position and raised his hands. He closed his eyes slightly. The void trembled. Outside the bloodlight around Wang Lin, the fourth essence appeared. This fourth essence was life and death. My left hand is life. Wang Lin's words were filled with an unimaginable majesty, as if he was the ruler of the world. As he spoke, a white aura gathered in his left hand and formed a seal. This seal contained endless life force and the will of the heavens. My right hand is death. A black aura surrounded his right hand and a shocking death aura appeared. This death aura contained the might of the earth. This created a stark contrast with his left hand. I, Wang Lin, am the heavens and earth of life and death. Wang Lin's hands clapped together before him and his eyes opened. The moment his eyes opened, a light emerged from between his hands and lit up the void. Life and death seal. Wang Lin's hands separated and the black and white light flew out. They fused to form a life and death seal, and it fused with the other three essences. This was Wang Lin's fifth original spell, Life and Death Seal. The Life and Death Seal was powerful enough to kill the heavens and give life to the earth. Its power was unfathomable. As soon as the fourth essence appeared outside planet Suzaku, the void gate rumbled once more. The pressure from the void gate caused even more cultivators to kneel. Under this pressure, almost all the cultivators uncontrollably knelt. The pressure from the void gate surged and a strand of black and a strand of white gas appeared. The two strands rotated around the void gate and formed what the people outside could see as the fourth essence. The moment the fourth essence appeared, the first one to collapse was Zhou Jin. His body trembled and he retreated once more. The terror in his eyes had reached an unimaginable degree. 4 essences. No one in my outer realm could trigger the void gate with 4 essences. This is impossible. This is absolutely impossible. The green-robed young man turned pale. 3 essences had already shocked him and he faintly felt like that was the limit, but now there was a 4th one. Someone with 4 essences can be considered the child of heaven. If he breaks open the void gate with 4 essences, not even a mid-stage spirit void cultivator would be his match. Who the hell is he? Who has such fortune, such patience, such comprehension? If this person is from the inner realm, he must be killed, or the consequences will be endless. 4 essences shall be the limit. The void gate triggered by 4 essences is already unimaginably powerful. This person is likely to be stopped by the void gate. But just at this moment, the void gate trembled and its pressure suddenly increased. It spread out like a storm, forcing the surrounding cultivators to retreat. A 5th essence appeared on the void gate. This 5th essence was true and false. After it appeared, it became a blur, as if another void gate had appeared behind it. 2 void gates stood there, and it was difficult for others to tell which was real and which was fake. A 5th essence. This. The green-robed young man's expression changed completely. His motionless body retreated several dozen steps as he pointed at the void gate. A never-before-seen fear appeared in his eyes. 5 essences, it is actually 5 essences. If this person can't open the void gate, then it won't be an issue, but if he does, he could battle against late-stage spirit void cultivators. The minds of all the nearby cultivators trembled uncontrollably. They were constantly being pushed back by the increasing pressure from the void gate. Master South Cloud's eyes lit up. He didn't know which side was triggering the void gate, but he knew that this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Brilliant void cultivators, don't look at the void gate, let us charge. Master South Cloud roared, his voice awakening the thousands of inner realm cultivators. Master South Cloud charged at the shocked green-robed young man. Situ Nan, Master Longpan, and Master Lu Fu charged forward. They began a frenzied battle against the outer realm cultivators as the rumble from the void gate echoed. The thousands of inner realm cultivators followed them. In an instant a bloodbath began. Just at this moment, a cold snort came from the distance. A cloud of purple mist appeared out of nowhere. It was too fast and instantly entered the battlefield, colliding with Master South Cloud, who was battling against the green-robed young man. A thunderous bang rang out and Master South Cloud's face turned pale. He was already injured and just now he was knocked toward planet Suzaku, one of the 5 masters of the ancient star system. Quickly, retreat to planet Suzaku and resist with the formation. The moment he spoke, the purple mist swept by Situ Nan, Master Long Pan and Master Lu Fu. Master Lu Fu coughed out a large amount of blood and was knocked back. His body collapsed and his origin soul was very weak as he quickly escaped. A golden light flashed around Situ Nan. At the most critical moment, he took out the gift Qing Lin had given him. This treasure was a jade and now the jade collapsed. He coughed out blood and quickly retreated. Master Long Pan's body also scattered, and when he reformed, he was almost transparent. Without hesitation he waved his hand, taking Situ Nan and Master Lu Fu's origin souls back to planet Suzaku. As for the thousands of cultivators, they all retreated without hesitation under Master South Cloud's roar. They all returned to planet Suzaku from all directions. The purple mist floated there. Then it scattered and an old man walked out. The old man gave off a powerful pressure without being angry. He coldly looked at the void gate and his pupils shrank an indiscernible amount. "All you pieces of trash, you still haven't captured this place after all this time? This old man's avatar is here today. All of you follow me to take this place." The old man let out a cold snort before he withdrew his gaze from the void gate and stepped toward planet Suzaku. This old man was very famous, and almost everyone in the inner realm knew him as well. He was one of the 5 masters of the ancient star system, Heaven Master Void God. Outside planet Suzaku, a light ripple spread and surrounded the area. The formation around planet Suzaku had been reinforced for dozens of years and was extremely powerful. As the ripple spread, Heaven Master Void God sneered and stepped toward planet Suzaku. The formation rumbled and changed drastically. Seemed like it was about to collapse. Behind the old man, the green-robed young man and Zhou Jin recovered from the shock of the void gate. However, the trembling in their hearts hadn't subsided. Zhou Jin looked up at the void gate with fear filled his eyes. Just as Zhou Jin was about to withdraw his gaze, his eyes suddenly widened. His body trembled once more and he stopped in place and his expression changed greatly. At the same time, the green-robed young man also looked up at the void gate. His mind rumbled and his eyes were filled with disbelief. The sixth essence. There is someone in the world who can have 6 essences. Heaven Master Void God's pupil shrank. He looked at the void gate with an extremely gloomy expression. Within the boundless void, Wang Lin waved his right hand and the 5th essence, True and False, condensed into a seal. His 6th original spell, True and False Eternal Seal. This seal's power was also unfathomable. After releasing 5 essences, there was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes. His right hand reached out at the void and a crack to his storage space appeared. A sword flew out from within. This sword was the treasure Qing Shui had created when his slaughter essence formed. This sword was slaughter essence. Holding this sword, Wang Lin's eyes revealed a mysterious light. He mercilessly squeezed it and the sword collapsed into a dark red mist. This red mist wrapped around Wang Lin. Wang Lin breathed a few times. It was as if his pores were breathing as well as he inhaled all the mist into his body. This became Wang Lin's 6th essence. This 6th essence was the slaughter essence. As the mist dissipated, Wang Lin's figure appeared from within. His appearance gave off a powerful killing intent. A raging slaughter aura erupted from his body. Today I, Wang Lin, will use these 6 essences to break open the void gate and reach the 3rd step. Wang Lin smiled and waved his right hand. The blood light around him collapsed. The moment the blood light collapsed, Wang Lin put away the madman that was still in a coma. With a wave of his hand, the collapsed red light condensed back into the drop of blood the sovereign had separated from his body. The moment the drop of blood formed, it no longer gave off a blood-red light, but a dazzling golden light and amazing celestial energy. This drop of blood was the complete immortal celestial body. After staring at this drop of blood, Wang Lin pressed it between his eyebrows. He didn't fuse with it but formed a golden dot between his eyebrows. It flashed a few times before disappearing. This will become one of my treasures in the future. Wang Lin raised his head and looked at the void where he had been asleep for more than 70 years. There was reminiscence and reluctance in his eyes along a mighty aura that could shake the world. Just like this, Wang Lin stepped forward with a sigh. When his step landed, a giant vortex appeared before him. The giant vortex rumbled as if his step was heavy enough to break open this void. The void could not resist Wang Lin and had to collapse. Just as he was about to enter the vortex and leave, Wang Lin was surprised. The vortex suddenly split into two and two paths appeared. The two vortexes led to different places. One vortex gave off an aura Wang Lin was familiar with. That was where planet Suzaku was, where he had disappeared. The other vortex gave off a faint, golden light and dense celestial energy. It attracted the hidden drop of golden blood between Wang Lin's eyebrows. That place is... Wang Lin's eyes narrowed and he took a closer look. He raised his right hand and pointed at the vortex. The vortex immediately slowed down and Wang Lin's eyes lit up. His divine sense rushed out of the vortex and saw a world outside that shocked him completely. That place was a boundless earth. There were 9 suns in the sky, and they were infinitely large. As they hung there, light shrouded the area. There were many peaks that were tall and mighty, and there were endless seas with raging waves, along with lakes and rivers. Wang Lin's divine sense couldn't cover the entire area. It only covered a tiny portion of this land. This continent was comparable to countless inner and outer realms. The amount of celestial energy there was beyond imagination. He didn't know any of the plants growing there, and there were many small beasts filled with celestial energy running around. They all had powerful cultivation. He felt various powerful auras there. These auras were extremely powerful and reminded him of the 7-colored Taoist he saw in the 7-colored realm. He saw a ray of light flash through the sky but stop in the air to reveal a little girl wearing blue. This girl looked only 7 or 8 years old and was very pretty. Her eyes were flawless with a hint of curiosity. After looking, her eyes seemed like they could penetrate everything, and she saw Wang Lin. Where is this? Wang Lin's divine sense looked at everything in a daze. However, as his divine sense observed, a force came from the void and prevented him from spreading his divine sense out more. It also forced his divine sense back so that everything he saw instantly became far away. Wang Lin's divine sense returned and he was back before the 2 vortexes in the void. Looking at the vortex that led to the mysterious world, Wang Lin silently pondered. After a long time, his eyes lit up and he walked toward the vortex that led to planet Suzaku. The moment his feet were about to enter the vortex, the tender voice of a child echoed in his mind. Why are you leaving? This is the celestial immortal continent. My name is Dal. What's your name? Wang Lin's foot stopped, but the voice was blurry. It felt like it was simply too far away and gradually dissipated. Celestial immortal continent. Wang Lin turned and looked at the other vortex. This wasn't the first time he had heard of it. He had heard of it from the madman before. The madman once said that his hometown was called Celestial Immortal Continent. Wang Lin silently pondered and vaguely understood something. He was about to figure out a heaven-shattering secret about the inner and outer realms. However, there was still a thin barrier preventing him from completing this train of thought. Celestial Immortal Continent, 7-Color Taoist, Qing Shui, Madman, Sovereign, Old Ghost John, Raising Heavenly Tao, Heaven-Defying Bead, and also what Old Ghost John said while talking to the Sovereign, Inner Cave. There is a thread that connects all these things. I don't know what it is, but once they are connected, that will be the shocking secret of the inner and outer realms. Perhaps the me before the dream Tao was not qualified to know this, but now I do. A flash of coldness appeared in Wang Lin's eyes, and he walked toward the vortex leading to planet Suzaku. His figure immediately fused with the vortex and disappeared. In the brilliant void outside planet Suzaku, the void gate that had appeared had 6 essences around it, making it a peak existence that had never appeared before. This void gate had appeared, but the person that could break it hadn't walked out yet. It formed a suffocating aura that even outer realm cultivators like Heaven Master Void God could feel. Damn it, there are actually 6 essences. Not even the Sovereign could do something like this. If this person can break open the gate, even if he is only at the early stage of Nirvana Void, He could battle arcane void cultivators and quickly step through the void realms. If this person is an inner realm cultivator, he must be killed. Killing intent flashed through Heaven Master Void God's eyes. He no longer looked at the void gate that frightened him and stepped toward planet Suzaku. Although he was only here with an avatar, this avatar was at the early stage of arcane void. As he closed in on the formation around planet Suzaku, he raised his right hand, which turned into a purple mist. The purple mist quickly expanded and shot toward the formation around planet Suzaku. Thunderous rumbles echoed, and the formation that had lasted for several months and was on the verge of collapse shattered. As fragments scattered, planet Suzaku had no protection left. Slaughter your way in, destroy the planet, and quickly leave. Heaven Master Void God stepped toward the collapsed formation. He immediately saw the statue that pierced the clouds on planet Suzaku. Thousands of inner realm cultivators surrounded the statue. They were going to fight to the death here. With a sneer, Heaven Master Void God raised his right hand and was about to destroy the statue. However, just at this moment, his expression changed and he looked at the space next to the void gate. The person that will attempt to break the gate. Outside planet Suzaku, a vortex appeared next to the void gate. As the vortex rotated, a shocking aura spread out. The moment Heaven Master Void God turned around, the green-robed young man trembled as he felt something and looked over. Zhou Jin did the same. Even the tens of thousands of cultivators that were about to charge into planet Suzaku all felt this terrifying aura. They were familiar with this aura. The green-robed young man was familiar with this aura. Heaven Master Void God was familiar with this aura. Zhou Jin was even more familiar with this aura, and it made him almost lose his wits. Similarly, the aura coming from Vortex next to the Void Gate made the thousands of inner realm cultivators around the statue feel a sense of familiarity that had been buried for decades. I said he can't die. He can't die. He is my brother, he can't die. Situnan trembled, joy filled his eyes, and he began to laugh. Master Southcloud gasped. He was guessing before who had the fortune to trigger the Void Gate with 6 essences. Now that he felt this aura, he also began to laugh. Good. How could the Lord of the Sealed Realm die? 13 Master Lu Fu and the weakened Azure Dragon Divine Emperor all trembled as they looked at the vortex next to the Void Gate with excitement in his eyes. In particular, 13 was extremely excited. Master Longpan smiled as he looked at the vortex next to the Void Gate. He seemed to see the figure that angrily roared at him back then. Lord of the Sealed Realm. Lord of the Sealed Realm. The thousands of cultivators around the statue became excited and roared. Glory to the Lord of the Sealed Realm. Glory to the brilliant void. Some of them weren't familiar with this aura, but when they saw the reaction of Situnan and company, a name popped into their heads. A name they could never forget. Lord of the Sealed Realm Wang Lin. The roars of the thousands of cultivators around the statue became even more powerful. Eventually, the voices fused into one and spread into space, into the ears of the tens of thousands of Outer Realm cultivators. The moment the nightmare that had been forgotten by the Outer Realm cultivators awakened, a cold, white-haired young man in white stepped out of the vortex next to the Void Gate. His white hair danced and his clothes fluttered. At this moment he gave off a feeling that he had just returned from the nether world, just walked out of death's grasp. He was Wang Lin, he was the Lord of the Sealed Realm. I have returned. Wang Lin walked out of the vortex and his cold eyes gave off a cold intent. He looked at the tens of thousands of Outer Realm cultivators. Everyone that met his gaze trembled and subconsciously retreated in terror. In particular, Zhou Jin was sweating like crazy and rapidly retreated. The green-robed young man's eyes were filled with disbelief. In his mind, Wang Lin should have died already, but now only was he alive. He had returned and triggered the Void Gate with 6 essences. This caused his calmness to collapse. Lord of the Sealed Realm. The Lord of the Sealed Realm has returned. Glory to the Lord of the Sealed Realm. Glory to the Lord of the Sealed Realm. The thousands of cultivators on planet Suzaku seemed to become filled with infinite power. They rushed out with an unprecedented aura and shook the stars. Just as Wang Lin appeared and the inner realm cultivators became excited, Heaven Master Void God's expression became extremely gloomy. Killing intent appeared in his eyes and he stepped toward Wang Lin under the Void Gate. Little child, you didn't die back then, but you will die today. This old man wants to see how a little junior that hasn't reached the third step will survive against me. Back then, this old man didn't succeed in taking your body, but since you came here yourself, this old man will take it. What happened back then was a big disgrace to Heaven Master Void Gate, but it also scared him greatly. He was afraid of the arrow. However, as one of the 5 masters, he couldn't just escape without battling. As he spoke, he sped up and instantly closed in on Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression was indifferent. As Heaven Master Void God closed in, he closed his eyes and then suddenly opened them. When he opened his eyes, the aura of a grand scholar spread out from him. It was the aura of someone that had comprehended the heavens and was not afraid of ghosts or gods. Even the heavens would have to retreat from this aura, and even ghosts had to be afraid. Even the laws of the world distorted before it. This was something that belonged to humans, belonged to the grand scholar of humans. Cultivators were also human. Even if they reached the third step, they were still human. Back off. Wang Lin's glance landed on Heaven Master Void God. No matter how powerful the enemy was in Wang Lin's eyes, Heaven Master Void God was the same as a mortal, no different from the ants, rocks, trees, or grass. Heaven Master Void God's avatar suddenly stopped and his eyes filled with disbelief. He clearly felt an aura from Wang Lin that made Wang Lin feel like the world itself. The aura that Wang Lin gave off terrified him. This aura rushed into his soul and made him feel the shock he felt when he looked up at the sky when he was a mere mortal. This aura rushed into his soul with no regard to his cultivation level or identity. These words were like the law of the world or even above the law of the world. It was the decree of an emperor. No different than a mortal being hit by a bolt of lightning. Heaven Master Void God was terrified. He didn't dare to believe his eyes and didn't believe his own trembling body. At this moment, he was no different from that foundation establishment cultivator from Wang Lin's dream. You. Heaven Master Void God subconsciously retreated several dozen feet. His eyes revealed horror that was rarely seen. What Wang Lin said could shake the heavens and shock ghosts and gods. This scene caused Zhou Jin's face to turn deathly pale. His eyes were filled with despair. There was also the green-robed young man. He originally wanted to step forward to kill Wang Lin, but he froze and his Dao heart became unstable. The feeling Wang Lin gave him was like the time he met the Grand Scholar when he was still a kid, before he started cultivating. If the 3 of them were like this, there was no need to talk about the tens of thousands of Outer Realm cultivators. They retreated once more from Wang Lin's words, and they all looked at Wang Lin with endless fear in their eyes. Wang Lin waved his sleeves. After shocking Heaven Master Void God to retreat with a roar, he lifted his right hand to face the Void Gate. Thunder, fire, karma, life and death, true and false slaughter. 6 essences with my name, Wang Lin. I order you all to break open the Void Gate. Wang Lin's words spread out and the Void Gate gave off endless pressure. Break the Void Gate. Wang Lin raised his head and looked at the Void Gate above him. He had waited for this day for more than 2,000 years. He had waited too long for this day. When he began cultivating, he never thought he would become a third-step cultivator, but this day had arrived. This was the second time Wang Lin had faced the Void Gate. The first time was when his Thunder Essence reached completion, but he wasn't able to open it at the time. However, today Wang Lin was confident that he could open the gate and reach the third step. The 6 essences appeared on his raised hand and formed a ball of spinning light. He crushed it and they entered his body. He rushed upward. Before the gazes of the tens of thousands of Outer Realm cultivators, thousands of Inner Realm cultivators, and several third-step cultivators, Wang Lin charged at the Void Gate. Once he broke open the gate, he would be a third-step cultivator. Once he broke open the gate, he could do as he wished. Once he broke open the gate, he would be qualified to know the final secret between the inner and outer realms. When he was young, he lacked talent and had a hard time cultivating. He had made it past the first step and the second step. Today, he would break open the Void Gate before the eyes of tens of thousands of cultivators and reach the third step. Wang Lin clearly remembered the attack Qing Shui had used with the Slaughter Essence against the Void Gate. The attack that caused a corner of the Void Gate to collapse. Having the power to break a corner of the gate was extremely rare. For people like Zhou Jin, breaking the Void Gate was just doing their best to push it open. It was like a mortal trying to push a 1,000-pound rock. Even with the help of Joss flames, one would feel like they had been through a tough fight after pushing open the gate. Since ancient times, very few people could do it as easily as Xianxia. The more essences used to create the void gate, the more difficult it would to open, much less break it. 6 essences had never appeared before, so the void gate they formed was the strongest that had ever been seen in the inner and outer realms. The difficulty of breaking this void gate was several times higher than when Xianxia broke his. Compared to Zhou Jin's void gate, the difference was simply too much. But similarly, once Wang Lin breaks open the gate, he could accept the power of the void gate, and it would integrate with his 6 essences. His power would improve by leaps and bounds. Breaking this gate is not difficult. I have seen this gate many times and have some understanding of it. This time I'll break it in an unprecedented way that no one has ever done before, and no one ever will. Wang Lin looked up and his white hair started to dance. His right hand formed a fist as he got closer and closer to the void gate. With my name Wang Lin, I order the thunder of the heavens. Wang Lin's body flew toward the gate and his right hand formed a fist. Thunder rumbled and endless lightning gathered in his fist as if he was catching it all. He punched the void gate before him. He can't open it, he definitely can't open it. This gate was formed by so many essences. No one can open it. Zhou Jin had almost gone crazy. He retreated with despair in his eyes. He could only hope that Wang Lin couldn't open the void gate so he would have a chance at survival. With 6 essences, the void gate is several times more difficult than when I open the door, and this Wang Lin, it will be very difficult for him to open it. The more essences, the more difficult it is to open the gate. He will fail to open the gate, and when he fails, he will die. The green-robed young man also retreated. He understood that when you tried to stop someone who was trying to break the void gate, you'd actually be helping them. Heaven Master Void God's expression was gloomy as he retreated. He stared at Wang Lin, who was about to break open the void gate, and sneered. If the void gate is so easy to open, then the world would be in chaos. A void gate triggered by 6 essences is difficult beyond imagination to open. Amir Jr., even if you were lucky enough to get 6 essences, what is the use? I want to see how he will try to open this void gate. Perhaps I don't even have to do anything and he will die to the void gate. They didn't believe Wang Lin could break open the void gate, or they just didn't want to believe. However, to the inner realm cultivators, they hoped from the bottom of their hearts that Wang Lin could break open the void gate and become a 3rd-step cultivator. Wang Lin, you must break open the void gate. Situnan clenched his fist and looked nervous. He had broken his own void gate, and even with Qing Lin's help, he had suffered. He knew how difficult it was, and Wang Lin's void gate was much more powerful than his. This caused him to become even more worried. Master South Cloud's eyes lit up and he took a deep breath. He had already made the decision to use his full power to help Wang Lin at the critical moment. It's a gate formed by 6 essences. We have to help him break it at all costs. Once he opens it, Wang Lin's cultivation will become an extremely powerful force for our inner realm. Master Lu Fu, Master Long Pan, Azure Dragon Divine Emperor, and others all looked at each other. They all looked tense. In particular, the Azure Dragon Divine Emperor was even more worried. He knew Wang Lin from a long time ago and also knew that Wang Lin was a member of the 4 Divine Sect. At this moment, his right hand reached at the void and the 4 treasures of the 4 Divine Sect appeared. At the most critical moment, I'll use the 4 Divine Sect's treasures to help him break the gate. Ignoring everyone else's thoughts, Wang Lin was covered in thunder and rushing at the void gate. Compared to the void gate, Wang Lin was extremely small, but it was that small figure that made all the surrounding cultivators forget to think as they stared at his shocking thunder punch. Wang Lin had used this punch on the void gate before, but he only pushed it open as silver. However, now he had completed 6 essences, and although they hadn't fused, just his thunder was several times more powerful than before. The punch landed and a thunderous rumble rang out. Wang Lin's figure was like the first eternal thunderbolt in the world, and it smashed into the void gate. The thunderous rumbles echoed in all directions. The violent shockwave caused many of the surrounding cultivators to cough out blood and fly back. They were terrified and wanted to leave. As the thunderous rumbles echoed, the giant void gate trembled as if it couldn't bear it and slowly opened a sliver. The moment the void gate was opened a sliver, Wang Lin let out a roar. As the roar echoed across the brilliant void, thunder and lightning appeared all over the brilliant void. It was as if something had called them, and they rushed toward planet Suzaku. The entire brilliant void trembled unceasingly. Thunder and lightning seemed to be extracted from each planet and shot toward planet Suzaku. Even more strands of lightning moved through space. There were many outer realm cultivators in the brilliant void. They were often in groups of hundreds or thousands to hunt down the remaining inner realm cultivators. All the outer realm cultivators were shaken by the rumbling thunder. They didn't know what was happening, but they could feel that the entire brilliant void was filled with thunder. It was as if all the thunder in the world had found their king after countless years of confusion. Now the Thunder King had let out a roar and was calling to them. All the thunder in the brilliant void connected and seemed to form an ocean as the thunder waves surged. They passed by planets, swept through space, and swept past the outer realm cultivators. What is going on? What the hell is going on? How did so much thunder surge? Could some thunder treasure have appeared? All of this thunder is going toward one direction. What is going on there? Isn't planet Suzaku in that direction? Could some shocking change have occurred there? An uproar echoed among the many groups of outer realm cultivators in the brilliant void. They were confused. They didn't know what was going on. However, the brilliant void was filled with endless thunder. Some landed on people who didn't dodge fast enough and they died with a miserable scream. This caused the expressions of the outer realm cultivators to change greatly. Divine senses spread out one by one, trying to find the reason. If one looked from above, they would see endless thunder gathering like crazy toward planet Suzaku. Toward Wang Lin, who was next to the void gate. Despair overflowed in Zhou Jin's eyes. He could hardly believe what he was seeing. He heard muffled roars from all directions. When he looked over, he was stunned. He saw far too much thunder that had already lit up space itself. It shined brightly as it closed in. The green-robed young man's face became pale. Although he was a mid-stage arcane void cultivator, his scalp still went numb when he saw the endless thunder. Not only him, even Heaven Master Void God was startled for a moment and disbelief filled his eyes. He didn't expect Wang Lin's thunder essence to have such power. This is no ordinary thunder essence. This old man has seen third-step thunder cultivators but none like this. This Wang Lin, how did he form his thunder essence to have such power? Heaven Master Void God's eyes lit up. Humph, even if it's all the thunder in the brilliant void. Just as Heaven Master Void God thought this, an even more violent rumble that overpowered the endless thunder from the brilliant void rang out. His divine sense spread out, and what he saw caused him to stagger back a few steps. Heaven Master Void God exclaimed, "Impossible! Only one thing could make Heaven Master Void God, one of the 5 masters of the ancient star system, lose himself like this." When his divine sense spread out, he saw the endless thunder closing in. Heaven Master Void God didn't care about Wang Lin triggering the thunder of the brilliant void. However, he didn't expect Wang Lin's roar to trigger the cloud sea as well. In the cloud sea, the situation was the same as the brilliant void. Bolts of thunder left the continents as if they were heading an ancient call, charging toward the brilliant void. There was also rumbling coming the thin clouds left in the cloud sea. Countless bolts of lightning rushed out and connected together. They broke through the barrier to the brilliant void and rushed closer. But this wasn't the end. After Wang Lin's roar echoed across the brilliant void and the cloud sea, it also spread into the summoned river. Lightning lit up the darkness of space. Countless outer realm cultivators saw endless meteors or silver snake-like lightning bolts quickly flashing through the sky. A thunderous rumble echoed across the summoned river. Large amounts of cultivators rushed out from the cultivation planets and stared at the wave-like lightning flashing through space. They were completely stunned. What happened? As the thunder and lightning from the cloud sea, brilliant void, and summoned river moved, the last to be affected was all heaven. All heaven had not been captured and still belonged to the inner realm. At this moment, the inner realm cultivators were all staring the thunder surging toward brilliant void from all directions. As Wang Lin's roar to summon thunder echoed across all heaven, the barrier to the star systems broke. The ancient thunder that acted as the gate to the thunder celestial realm that had not moved for countless years flew off like a silver river. It shot straight for the brilliant void. The brilliant void, all heaven, the cloud sea, the summoned river. The thunder from all 4 major star systems rushed toward planet Suzaku, toward the white-haired Wang Lin, who had his hand raised in the air. If the realm sealing formation was in a perfect state, it would be very difficult for anything to pass through, but now a hole had been opened by the outer realm, so Wang Lin's roar passed through with a special method. It went out from the hole in the cloud sea and spread across the ancient star system. At this moment, thunder rumbled across the vast ancient star system. Endless thunder and lightning appeared from the void and rushed toward the hole in the cloud sea. Among the outer realm cultivators, those that cultivated thunder trembled. The origin energy inside them left their bodies without their control and turned into bolts of thunder that flew off. Thunder soon rushed across the ancient star system and into the hole in the cloud sea. It stormed through the inner realm and fused together as it went toward planet Suzaku. All of this happened in an instant. Outside planet Suzaku, beside the void gate, Wang Lin's roar ended. All the thunder from the inner and outer realms had arrived. The voice that almost collapsed space itself caused the outer realm cultivators to tremble and bleed from their orifices. They all used various spells in an attempt to resist it. Their vision was blurry. The dazzling light from the thunder seemed to be able to penetrate the eyes of all living beings. Wang Lin pointed at the void gate as the thunder closed in. This method of opening the void gate had never been seen before. He was using all the thunder in the inner and outer realms to smash the void gate. He was using an extremely arrogant and domineering method to break the void gate. Before Wang Lin, no one could do it. After Wang Lin, it was also destined that no one would be able to do it. Rumble, 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 rumble. The endless rumbles continued as strands of thunder and lightning rushed at the void gate. The endless thunder was like an army that wanted to collapse the void gate. As the thunderous rumbles echoed, countless cracks appeared on the void gate, and even more thunder arrived. As the violent rumbles continued, the edge of the void gate turned to ashes and began to collapse. At the same time, even more thunder bombarded the void gate. It caused the void gate to erupt with a light even brighter than the sun. "Break for me!" Wang Lin roared. As the rumbles echoed, the right side of the void gate collapsed into countless fragments. Then the left side of the void gate also collapsed to the bombardment of the thunder. Eventually, the entire void gate shattered completely, and the fragments scattered in all directions. The void gate collapsed. When it collapsed, a giant vortex appeared and the power of the void gate flowed out like a river toward Wang Lin. However, Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he waved his sleeves. A powerful force pushed the power from the void gate back into the vortex. Although Wang Lin hadn't absorbed the power from the void gate, his cultivation level increased greatly. He stepped past the peak of Nirvana Shatterer and Heaven's Blight and directly reached the third step. He reached the early stage of Nirvana Void. However, this wasn't Wang Lin's real cultivation level, but an aura. The aura of a true third-step cultivator. If Wang Lin wanted to, as long as he absorbed the power from the void gate, his cultivation level would match his aura. He would immediately become an early-stage Nirvana Void cultivator. However, by doing this, he would only reach the early stage of Nirvana Void with the Thunder Essence. Wang Lin didn't want this early-stage Nirvana Void cultivation. He had endured so long to complete 6 essences. If he only reached early-stage Nirvana Void, he would not be satisfied. He wanted to amaze the world with a single brilliant feat. This scene shocked all the surrounding cultivators. Zhou Jin's face was ashen. He felt despair and wanted to leave, but he found that this area was surrounded by a pressure that prevented him from retreating even half a step. He raised his head and saw the source of the pressure. It was Wang Lin, who threw a sideways glance at him. This gaze caused Zhou Jin to cough out a mouthful of blood. The green-robed young man's face was pale. He vaguely thought of something was different. He suddenly thought of something he couldn't believe and even terrified him. Could it be that he? One more gate. Wang Lin's cold and proud voice entered the ears of the green-robed young man, causing his eyes to narrow. Although they were enemies, he still revealed a look of respect. Wang Lin waved his sleeve and the vortex formed by the collapsed void gate expanded rapidly. A pressure several times more powerful than before appeared. As the vortex spread out, crackling sounds echoed and space itself fragmented. The vortex dissipated and was replaced with another void gate. This gate was a bit smaller than before, but the pressure it emitted was even stronger. The Lord of the Sealed Realm is arrogant to the extreme. Heaven Master Void God's eyes were filled with a complicated gate. This was the first time he had referred to Wang Lin as the Lord of the Sealed Realm, in his heart and not a junior. Throughout the ages, everyone who broke the Void Gate absorbed the power of the Void Gate to solidify their own essence, so they could reach the third step. This process is very short, and once that power is absorbed, the Void Gate will dissipate. Almost everyone quickly absorbs it without delay because even though the Void Gate is broken, it will quickly reform. Once the Void Gate reforms, the power of the previous Void Gate disappears. Even if you have already opened it, it will have to be opened again. But the second Void Gate is even stronger. However, this person could kill third-step cultivators even before absorbing the power from the Void Gate and reaching the third step. Although the Void Gate is tough, it really can't stop him. Heaven Master Void Gate felt helpless, but he still admitted his mistake in judgment. He doesn't want to just break open the Void Gate. He wants to do something that's nearly impossible. He is going to break open the Void Gate once with each essence. He wants to become a third-step cultivator with 6 essences the real way. The difficulty of this is simply too great, but the benefits are also great. Heaven Master Void God looked at Wang Lin with a complicated gaze, but the killing intent in his eyes became even stronger. Since he is so arrogant to do something like this before me, then I want to see how he manages. The Void Gate that appeared for the second time shocked not only the Outer Realm cultivators, but also the Inner Realm cultivators. The moment the Void Gate appeared, a monstrous cold light appeared in Wang Lin's eyes and a sense of confidence filled his body. He was Wang Lin, he was the Lord of the Sealed Realm, he was someone with 6 essences. Since ancient times, no one was more qualified than he was to dare to break open the Void Gate continuously. Wang Lin didn't deliberately do this, but he had seen the Void Gate several times. He vaguely knew that every time he broke the Void Gate, more power from within would flow out. If he wanted to fuse his 6 essences, he would need an unimaginable amount of power from the Void Gate. Wang Lin didn't know what this power was, but he knew that the power from the Void Gate was the key for cultivators to reach the third step. It was comparable to setting up a foundation while refining, therefore he had to do this. When the Void Gate appeared for the second time, Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he raised his right hand. He calmly said something that sounded like the law of the heavens, and space itself trembled. Fire essence with my name, Wang Lin. Burn the Void Gate. The moment he spoke, 9 colored fire surged and filled the area. At this moment in the brilliant void, cloud sea, all heaven, summoned river, and even in the outer realm, endless fire rushed toward Wang Lin's finger like thunder before. It all shot toward the Void Gate. It was impossible to describe the spectacle of this scene. This was something many cultivators would never see in their lives. The endless sea of fire rushed at the Void Gate as it closed in. Thunderous rumbles echoed as raging fire completely surrounded the Void Gate. As the heat wave spread, the Void Gate collapsed once again. This collapse had no fragments falling, as all the fragments were burnt to ashes by the fire. The moment the Void Gate collapsed the second time, a surge of Void Gate power 10 times stronger than before rushed toward Wang Lin. However, this was still not enough to make his 6 essences fuse. Therefore, he waved his sleeve, pushing the power back into an even bigger vortex than before. Void Gate, come again. Wang Lin laughed as he pointed at the vortex. At this moment, after the fire essence broke the second Void Gate, the aura around Wang Lin increased again. Today was the day Wang Lin would step toward the peak. He had endured all these years he had anticipated for so long, just for this moment to become a third-step cultivator. The aura from his body had already reached the early stage of Nirvana Void when he broke the first gate. Now that he broke the second gate, his aura had increased directly to mid-stage Nirvana Void.